Okay, everybody. We were discussing yesterday. We started asking questions on stream about RPGs, RPG related questions. And I was asking everybody what bosses challenged them in an RPG. And I wanted to ask you guys today what your biggest pet peeve is in an RPG. What is something that makes you annoyed with an RPG and make you want to stop playing it? Has any game ever done that to you? You've just stopped playing it because it's something about it just really got on your nerves? Because I'm very intrigued. I think that's a good question, and I like to take these things, think about them, because then we'll avoid Raindrop Chronicles being that way. Okay, let's read chat. I've been drawing up a character whose superpower is confetti conjuring. I just can't get it right like I want it to be. Oh no, you'll do it though. You'll do it, Lude Melon. I want to see it. That sounds really bonkers and creative. I like it. So today's the day for the hoon. What's a hoonters? What's that? I feel silly if it's something obvious. Where do I begin on my pet peeves? Limited inventory space is for juice. So if there's not enough, what would you say is a really limited? 10, 20, 50? What is not enough in your opinion? The law of traps. The law of traps, Geek. Welcome to the stream, Geek. Tell us more about that. Instant death. Oh gosh. So a skill that just does death and then you're dead. I agree, Storm. That sucks. Skills have got to be a little bit more balanced than that, in my opinion. And I'm going to make it a habit to watch my VODs so I can make notes of what you guys say about these sort of questions if I ask them. I kind of feel like I should do it more often. Ask chat questions about RPG related questions so we can chat, learn about things together and talk about game design. What do you guys think? I have so many pet peeves. I made my own RPG. Well, I'd love to know all those pet peeves, Lude. Too complicated. So Kung doesn't like too complicated. I'm the same. I think me and Kung have got things in common. If the grind is very boring. Yeah, we were talking about grind yesterday. We've kind of all come to the conclusion that grind is fine. Grind should be allowed in games, but it shouldn't be necessary to do it to complete the main part of the game, at least. But if people want to do I think super bosses are really good things. If people want to do the hard content, they shouldn't be stopped or not allowed to grind, because that could probably frustrate people who do like the grinding side of games. Persona and SMT made me hate instant death skills. Persona's got insta-death in it. Too many systems that you can never remember all of them. I'd love to know some RPGs that might have made these mistakes as well, because then I can look at them. When there are skills or spells that are rendered useless on all bosses, like in Final Fantasy XII, almost all bosses are immune to every status effect. Oh, really? Yeah, that makes them really OP as well, doesn't it? And it also takes away the point in having those skills if things are going to be immune. I love RPGs that show new items on the characters, hence why I absolutely loved Legend of Liega for the PS1. Oh really? I was a PS1 girl and never knew that game. Show new items on the characters. How do you mean by show new items on the character? I'm going to make a note of that because I'm that game and have a look at that, because I have no idea. Hunters. Oh, hunters. I get it now. I'm a slow one, Juice. Limited inventory is the worst. Any limit. I think you should have unlimited inventory space. Final Fantasy games or Dark Souls inventory in those are never an issue. I think limitations on anything sucks. RPG Maker MV. my only complaint with that engine is that they limit the number of slots you can have for skills, and the engine just lags to death if you try and put more in. But I guess as a game dev, you kind of have to be smart. Think about smart ways. Like, I know there's a limit on variables and switches as well, and I'm kind of panicking about that because I'm like, but we're probably going to use a lot of those. But they do have self switches, so I need to figure out how to use self switches, because that might save some potential wasted switches. Law of traps. A trap exists, you must fall into it to progress the story. Oh really? Do you mean you, like, basically when stories are really hard to like unlock the next part, like it's a complex puzzle? I don't know what I'm going on about. I'm assuming that's what you might mean. Not being able to romance some same gender characters. Yeah, like games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age sort of introduced that. Or did they? Was there any games before that did that? But those were the ones I remember it started being a thing. And in Raindrop Chronicles, you will be likely having a romance system, because we've discussed it. And we won't like have any. If you're a lady custom hero, you'll be able to romance Carol the Barrel, etc., and all the other ladies. You shouldn't be limited. you shouldn't be defo not. I agree, Kindle. Pulls out giant bright glowing tree out of a pocket. Yeah, this inventory is cool. I love the grind. Yeah, it's funny, the grind thing, because it's a very 50-50 thing. Some people hate it and some love it. I personally love it. I'm already adapted to grind as I play in games or in hard or higher difficulties. I'm a masochist. Are you, Storm? Meaningless difficulty. Something that's hard just to be hard. Lots of resistance just because it's easier to make it harder. Does that mean you don't like Dark Souls, Lead Melon? Like, say a character gets long sword of fire, which is an upgrade for normal newbie dagger, then it should show the different on the character. It's hard to show it in pixel games. Oh, so basically what you mean, Yuji Master, is the equipment changes. Like, it's not always the same sword, for example. Is that what you mean? Like, visually it looks different. Well, a game does have to be clever. What's this, Rose? Hide helmets, please, when they don't allow me to show my character's beautiful face. Oh, yeah. And most games I've played allow, like, I know Final Fantasy 14, when you have to wear a hat, it lets you pretend that you're not wearing it, like hide it, which is really cool. Helmets are ugly. Also, games that have no sense of humour, but we already know that this game's humour. This game has a wacky, wild sense of humour. I think even the darkest and most serious of games need to have some kind of humour. Otherwise, it could just be like... It would just be depressing. You know, do you know... I'm actually curious now, are there any games out there that literally have no funny bits in them whatsoever? Not even a little bit. Is there any games out there like that? I'm really curious, because I'm thinking now, and the most like depressing, saddest game I ever played is the JRPG called Lost Odyssey, but it has humour in it. There's one character in it who's in the party who's literally the funniest person ever, so that, do you know what I mean? It kind of balances out the sad when there's funny bits in it, so I think that's an important thing. I agree, Kung. More like the bad guys have a trap set up in the story, and instead of having an option to get around it in any way, you must fall into it head first, or the story is... Oh, that's interesting, Geek. Do you know a game that does that? I'd love to find out more about that. Dark Souls is great. Yeah, it's a fair game that can be super easy or impossible. And I do definitely think Dark Souls' success came from its difficulty. Maybe that game wouldn't have had the hype it has if it was just like really easy or had an easy mode. I definitely think the challenge is what has made it to success. It is, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that. It is a very good game and well designed now, aside from its difficulty. Dark Souls is hard because it wants you to feel hopeless, to be as hopeless as everyone around you. Its difficulty is not just hard to be hard, it's to put you in the same setting as the world. Yeah, so there's a reason for it. And I think that's the main thing. The first JRPG you got for your PS1, I still find it an amazing game to this day. Can't wait for fully backwards PS5. I'm going to replay Legend. Oh really, that's so cool. My first JRPG was Final Fantasy VII, and that's the one that made me fall in love with the genre. I think that first one is always holds a special place in our heart. And romance, in my opinion, every RPG needs to have some sort of romance. Yeah, Juice. And do you mean by to have some sort of romance, do you mean like a romance system where you can pick who you want to romance, or do you just mean a love story in general, like where there's a love story in the plot? Tetris. Oh, okay. I'm going to make a note of that, Zexy. I want to make note of any games people mention so I can look at these features. And I assume that's a game. Zexy, I've never heard of it, so I'm wondering. Even Dark Souls has some funny things like Time for Crab. Yeah, and Dark Souls is super serious, isn't it? But yeah, it's still got a little bit of, you know, some of the NPCs that you met in Dark Souls had a bit of humour. What was his name? The Onion Knight guy? I don't know, I found him funny. I think he was a charming character. Almost every JRPG ever. Haven't played too much, but I think Neverwinter is a bit boring. I've heard of that one, Kung. It's an MMO, isn't it? I think so, but I've never played it, so I have no idea what it's like. Yeah, something that you can pick like your loved one for the game. Yeah, and Western RPGs mostly have that mechanic, and Persona did it out of all the JRPGs I've played, although it's really hard in Persona to romance people. I wanted to romance, what was the name of Koto, is it? But she was like too hard to romance, it was impossible. I think you have to do a new game plus to be able to do that. And make every character, oh gosh, juice. I mean, make every character you can fall in love with. Well, yeah, we're going to definitely have that kind of thing with Raindrop Chronicles, because I think there's such a huge appeal for having the romance thing going, and it's pretty much decided. I believe Kindle's character is going to be what kind of unlocks that romance system. We're not going to have it all the way from the beginning. I feel like because Kindle's character is relevant to that kind of thing, it makes sense to happen then. And I'd say we'll probably meet Kindle's character in the first big city or first big town, because that'll be likely where there'll be a brothel. Can't wait. I love my OC. I have quite controversial pet peeve, and that's diversity, just for diversity. If you want female in your party, just to represent females, but you don't design the dynamic around it. Really hate bland characters just for the sake of diversity. It just saddens me. Yeah, I think in general, character development is just such an important thing. And any bland characters just suck no matter what, really. And, yeah. It's like Final Fantasy X-2 had all the ladies and Final Fantasy 15 had all the dudes. And some people complained about that, didn't they? Because they wanted some female characters in 15. I don't know. 10, 2 and 15, neither of those were in my favourite list of Final Fantasies anyway. I kind of do like a mixed cast. I think diversity is good, but as you say, it's as long as they're good characters. Who's the most boring, blandest JRPG or RPG character you've come across, chat? I know who mine. Van from Final Fantasy 12. I have influence in every city, and my boys, girls and non-binaries that run some of my shops in other towns. Yeah, it's going to be crazy kindled. Got a bit The Witcher 3 going on with your character. You can be like a Geralt. Well, my Geralt he was literally loyal to Yennefer in my playthrough with The Witcher 3. He didn't have anybody else, but It's fun how it's like, I like that games like that let you have the option of what you want your character to do romance wise. Yeah, because for me Dragon Age was great, but it does annoy me that some characters will not fall in love with you just because you are a man or a woman. Yeah, for sure. And that's something to consider as well. And I think for sure we were planning on having it be like that anyway. FF stopped at 6. You think, weren't you a fan of the others, Geek? You an old school one? Most main boy protagonists, super boring. Yeah, like Van from Final Fantasy 12. It's like he didn't offer anything at all for me. Like, didn't have anything. Hey Rose, hey Kindle, hey Beth. Hi Rod, how are you doing today? It's good to see you. Do we have non-binary raindrops? That would be a good option. It isn't actually an option with the custom hero. You only can choose between male and female, and that's simply because it's really difficult enough to have, like, there's about 500 assets that from the custom hero, and if I added another gender option, it would like increase that by, I don't know, but a lot. So it just like, and that's why we only have the choice out of Hunter and Warrior as well. I was tempted to even add another class choice, but didn't in the end, just because of all the assets. But that doesn't mean we won't be like that in the world in general. So for sure, there's going to be factions and like the races. We kind of just have male female, but it doesn't have to be that way, not at all. It's just like the standard, isn't it? But doesn't have to be. I agree with Lumata. I'm in a minority here in America, and I really love what I see characters can relate to, but don't want them there just to check if show up on the list. I want them there because they're impactful and well written. Yeah, for sure. Nothing wrong, nothing worse than bland. Definitely a pet peeve of mine as well. Oh really? You don't like Kate Sith? Kate Sith's my favourite in Final Fantasy VII. I think they had such a good story. Like the whole like twist of, I don't want to like give spoilers, but when I was a kid I didn't get Kate Sith at all, but it was only with later playthroughs I really grew to appreciate that character, because there's such a big twist, and the whole the Shinra spy thing, and I'm not kidding you, I got more moved by the whole Temple of the Ancient sequence with the Kate Sith than I did Aerith later on. But maybe I'm one on my own there. I heard Vampinello were added to 12 because they wanted to reach a younger audience. Bashk and Ash was supposed to be the main protagonists. That's really, I think they should have made Bashk and Ash one of them the protagonist, or even Balthier. To be quite honest, Balthier really shines in that game over anybody else in the cast. Nothing against Ash or Bashk, or however it's said there. They're probably runner-up for the next best in the crew, but I really think Balthier shines. I firmly argue that Van wasn't the protagonist of 12, it was mainly Ash's story. Valkyrie is a close second, but that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, I think a lot are with you on that one, Zexy. I'm on the edge of you. I think if you justify again, there's no need to make everyone bi just to make people happy, but if you have characters that's both straight, bi, gay, that's the way to go. Well, I kind of thought, the first thing in my head with the romance system is that they're all romanceable, no matter what the genre. Like if you have your custom hero is a woman, a female, she can still romance Carol the Barrel. Be no different to it that was a dude, you were a dude. It'd be the same, female or male. Carol the Barrel can still fall in love with you, for example. So that's just how it's going to be. You've got the choice of who you want to be with, but as far as I'm aware. Well, I mean, we still have a lot of time to discuss things like that. The romance system is something that's going to be coming in the future, and we don't even know what it's going to look like or be like yet. But as like a guess, that'll be how it'll be. In my shops can work with you to make yeah, well that's the thing as well. We'll have to talk about mechanics and things at that time, and it'll be super fun. It'll be a super fun decision time stream, and it'll be definitely when we get to the first biggish city or town. That will be the time when we get a lot of new factions and lots of things. It'll be exciting. Hi Rex, how are you doing? Coming in here with a massive paragraph. What often happens is a developer makes a great cast but still gets accused of checking boxes when they just want to create a good character. The reverse used to happen all the time, and we didn't care. Lara Croft was originally going to be Lara Cruz, but people changed it because they thought the character being brown was going to lose their money. It's crazy how things were years ago in the 90s, and you know, I feel like we're not perfect, far from perfect, but we've come a long way. Any plans for the rest of the week? I have no idea what I'll be doing this week, actually. No clue at all. Probably just on loads about on my PC mostly. An all straight white guy cast, no one would bat an eye, but an all gay cast or all black cast, people would be upset and say the developer is trying to force things. Big difference I see, and that bothers me. People will always have something to say, like even when there's no need to hate on something. There'll always be somebody that has something to say. I don't even think it's avoidable. It's the culture we're in now. Everybody gets upset over something. Romance options are part of the world building. They should make sense to the setting. Hi, fellow real person. If you want to expand on that, I'd love to hear more about making sense to the setting, because it sounds like it's an interesting topic of conversation. Why games your character customers are great. Go for female in someone not cool when possible. Yeah, and in Raindrop Chronicles we've got that you can pick your character's complexion from fair to dark, and I think I'm pretty happy with that too, because it was really difficult to create all those assets. Well, it wasn't difficult, it was just time consuming. Like, there's literally, if I showed you my folder with all those custom hero assets in, you'd be gobsmacked, because there's a lot there. And I think that's the only reason we're not going to expand it further by adding another gender or another class or anything like that, just because I've really taken it far as it is, and there's still a lot of editing I'll have to do in the future with all those custom hero assets. For example, their weapons, I'm going to have to individually put a weapon layer over every single one of those assets, and there's hundreds, so that's going to be time consuming, because basically I want it so when they're in battle they're actually holding their weapon, because it by default they don't in RPG Maker, which is a bit lame. So I'm going to have to manually edit all those assets. I haven't done it yet because it's so time consuming, but I will at some point. I don't want forced characters either, but the idea that an all gay cast automatically makes it forced is not something I can agree with. Yeah, I get that, but I often see people make the diversity for the diversity's sake bad argument as a reason just to not have gay or female characters. What I'm trying to say is that's silly, and you can easily have well-written minority characters, so just have them. Yeah, I just think good characters of all different personalities is good. I like seeing how different characters interact with each other that are different and stuff, and I think diversity is a good thing. I don't know. What do you know any games? I'd love to know if you said any games that have done diversity for the sake of diversity. Give an example of one that might have done that, because I'm kind of intrigued. I want to know what is meant by that and what is classed as diversity for the sake of diversity. if there's any games out there that have even done that. Because I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think a lot of creators get accused of that just because no one in their character list fits the norm. Need to make sure though that the dark skin characters look good. Most games' dark skin options look completely awful because they make games for white characters. I think that the dark skin characters look awesome. We could do a little test play actually and randomly just have a peeper character creator. Can make who should we make? Let's think. Is there anybody we can base this dark skin character on? Or we'll just do a random one. I don't mind. I will just have a look because I think I mean it's only the RPG Maker default, but it's got the sort of anime look, and I think anything that looks like that isn't ugly. It's cute. So let's go have a look at a new game. Anyway, heading off. Take care, Rod. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have an awesome day. But yeah, this has been a very interesting topic of discussion. Some pretty, you know, some controversial things brought up. But I'd love to have games brought up to give a context to some of those things, because I think that's always useful to know the game. So should we have a look at female? I'm just going to make a random one. I've got nobody in mind to base it on. So yeah, we've got the 4 complexion options, and I felt that was a good range. Originally, I was only going to have 3, but I pushed it to 4. And you can still have blonde hair if you want. You're not limited at all. So when did you last cut your hair? And then warrior or hunter. So I think they're quite aesthetically pleasing. Well, there aren't any that I can think of, but I think about the Last of Us game. The writers decided to make Ellie gay. People threw a fit saying they're just trying to tick boxes and be woke. They assume the intentions of the writer instead of accepting that this part of the story they want to tell. Does it even really matter? Like, honestly, in my opinion, whether she's gay, straight or bi, like, why is it such a big deal to people? You know, it's doesn't change the game. It's still, you know, no, people just throw a fit over a lot of things. It made sense given what happened both before and during. Yeah, I've not even played The Last of Us, so I have no idea about that character or what she's like. But yeah. I definitely have the opinion that you're never going to please anybody with any story, game, movie, etc. that somebody makes. No one will be. You'll never get 100% of people happy with it, no matter how incredible it is. I think The Witcher 3 is the best game created this generation. And I still see people complain about that, and I literally think it's perfection. And I still see people go, oh, the combat sucks. And it's like, just stop it, please. It's so much more than just combat. And there's always going to be somebody moaning. I mean, why not leave that up to the player's imagination? Still being alive when she had been forced to kill the first person she fell for. I suppose, like, sometimes it's not even relevant to bring up sexuality, but I suppose if there is like a love story plot, then it's gonna be brought up then. Blaming herself for not insisting that you go back to the safe zone earlier. Well, now I know what happens in The Last of Us. It's fairly obvious that Martin do exploit wokeness left and right lately by a product toy or a bigot, but people are catching on. It's all a bit controversial, and I just get sad at what the world's like now. There's so much anger, and this is why I'm avoiding Twitter most of the time, because there's always something there. It's just a bit depressing. Anyway, later, take care, Rod. Have a good day. And I think one of the main reasons for this stream in general is so we can escape all that and just have fun being geeks. So I don't want us to get too heavy and intense about things like that, because it'll end up sucking the fun out of it if we have to think, oh, but we need to make sure that we're not this or we're that. So we just have fun, and it's fun to consider these things and make sure the game design's great, and the people that play the game are going to really have a good time and enjoy it and get a lot of pleasure out of it. But yeah, things can get heavy sometimes as well, especially when topics like this get brought up. This is why I just follow artists and cosplayers on Twitter, yeah, for sure. And I've thought about muting like everybody at one point. I haven't, but I did think about it, because I don't want to unfollow everybody and have zero people unfollowing. But it's just like a big problem with Twitter is how stuff is in your feed that are from people you don't even follow as well. And that's like, you know, you don't even have to be following people to get something in your feed nowadays. It's a weird algorithm. But anyway, what was today's task? Hunter, it was Hunter. So let's go on our other screen, and here we go. So if you was here the rest of this week, you might see that we've discussed vampire and warrior, but Hunter's the one that we've still got the question marks on. And if we look at RPG Maker, I have put these skills in the database as well now. So they're here. I've kind of organised them so they're like this. I've left a few gaps for the future skills. And I'm only putting skills for episode 1 because it's really hard to imagine how many skills there's going to be overall. And I wouldn't have known where to even start. So I'm going to organise it like this for now. And so I've kind of implemented a few of them. Adrenaline's done. That is increase attack and defence by 25% for 3 turns. Percentages are difficult. We don't know if something's working yet because we haven't really had a chance to balance the battles properly. But one thing I found is that really low percentages aren't working. Like having increased attack and defence by 5%, for example, would be way too low. Simply because we have low HP and stuff. Like our warrior, his attack is 4 and his HP is 120. If he's got his axe equipped though, it does add +6 onto his attack, so it'll go from 4 to 10. I've started low on purpose so that there's more room for growth with the progression. But it also makes the skills very useless if they're low percentage and stuff, if that makes any sense. So I think I increased the one for adrenaline from something like 10% to 25%, and it felt a lot more useful like that. Like there's a benefit to using it. So I think that's an okay balance so far, but it doesn't mean we're going to go ahead with it for good. Until we balanced it, we might change the figures around a bit. How much HP does our squishy vampire have? Oh, okay, let's have a look, because I was messing about with Rose last night. I did raise her attack to 12. It's going to be like 3 or 4, I think, when we do it properly. But for testing purposes, I put it on 12 because she currently doesn't have a weapon equipped. so I had to raise it because she was doing no damage on enemies with 3 or 4 attack. Her HP is currently 120, but I feel like she should have less than the warrior, because the warrior has 120. And she's her defense will definitely be lower than the warrior, and probably a HP too. I feel like any of the stats, the parameters for the warrior would be a high HP and a high defense out of all of these. And then probably attack 3rd would be the next one that they're where they'd have like a lot of points put in. But Hunter, agility is probably one for Hunter, maybe. But then there's things like crit to consider as well. And vampires, a bit more of a squishy one, but probably would be agility based as well. And some of them might be a bit of all, but some of them might be focused on just a couple. I think the vampire should have a good meaty amount of health, since she casts from her hit points when she heals allies, and that's a really good point as well, Zaxi. She can't be too low. Maybe she should have a lowish defense but a reasonable pool of HP. The squishiness comes from her lack of defense rather than lack of health. Perhaps we should think about it from that. Because that's very true. A lot of her skills will be based on, especially if you go for that healing vampire option, that Hemomancer one. You'll be like using your pool. I mean, even the DPS and the other one will probably still make use of their own blood and health as well, though. But let's have a look again. Frenzy, that's a taunt. No, that's Warcry, sorry. Frenzy's the passive. Increase attack by 5%, and it does that forever. It's not something you apply in battle. It's forever, that 5% increase once you've learned it. So that's actually very handy as a passive skill. Squish it, decrease plant defense by 15%. Yeah, these kind of skills aren't amazing early on when plants have a low pool of HP, but as you go through the game, it'll probably make more difference. And these skills will level up as well. So this is probably going to be Squish It level 1. And Squish It level 2 might be decreased plant defense by a bit of a higher percentage, for example. Because we are planning on leveling the skills. And I suppose it would replace. It wouldn't be a brand new skill. It would replace the old one. But that's our idea based on what we've been talking about. Drain, this formula is completely wrong, by the way. I was testing this last night. Somebody on the forum gave this formula. I edited a bit because my attack formula works a bit differently, but this bit I tried to experiment, but it didn't work at all. So I'm going to have to try and figure out the real formula. It's a bit of a difficult one. Rush I managed to get working. It works as an instant cast, and it adds an extra action turn. The state literally just adds an extra action turn. So if we look in Rush, it has here action times. So that just adds the extra turn, and that seems to be working successfully at the moment. And that's actually really handy because you can use Drain twice or Transaction twice. Whether it's going to have a cooldown on it, we haven't decided yet. We'll only know that if we feel it's a bit OP and needs a cooldown. But at the same time, we don't want to make it too weak. As we said yesterday, something important is that we need to find that balance with skills so that they're not too OP, but they're not too pointless and useless either. We want people to be able to want to use them and not forget about them. Because there's nothing worse than unused skills and people thinking, screw that skill, and just spamming attack all the time. We want to at least make sure these skills are very useful. But yeah, not too OP either, so let's find in that balance. If you use 1 out of 4 turns to buff, that buff better make the other 3 turns 33% better. Well, how have I got it set up? Are you referring to adrenaline? So that's an adrenaline state, and it is 4 turns, and we have to set it up for 4 turns instead of 3 because it counts the first one. The one you use counts as a turn, if that makes sense. So, but we will be having this isn't a balancing stream, but we are kind of discussing that, funnily enough. But the balancing will be done mainly at the end. Once we've implemented these skills, everybody's got their armour equipped, and the first boss is done. I think that'll be a good time to actually start thinking about the balancing, because we can't really effectively do balancing right now when we haven't even got Rose's armour and weapon equipped at the moment. There's a little bit of a dilemma with her weapon, because it was originally planned that she uses her teeth. Well, makes sense, vampire teeth, but it's impossible to make teeth a weapon that you can upgrade, if you get what I mean. Like an axe, you can just buy different axes from the shop, you can buy different bows from the shop if you're a hunter, and you can craft them. But teeth, you're kind of stuck with them. They're in your mouth. They're not something. So unless we can do something creative with that and think of a way for her to upgrade her teeth, or we would have to just go with her having claws as her actual weapon and having actual physical weapon claws. That's another option. It kind of makes her less feral because she's using an actual weapon if we went for that route. But I suppose it's something to consider. And that doesn't mean she wouldn't use her teeth. Obviously for the blood related skills where she bites into people, she would use her teeth then, but not her basic attack doesn't necessarily have to be teeth. It could be if we want her to actually have a weapon. So but Morton, Planescape Torment had teeth weapon. Oh yeah, Planescape Torment. That's meant to be an incredible game, isn't it? I actually own it on Steam. Maybe it did have a teeth weapon, but it's like, was that upgradable? Could he go to the shops and buy new ones? Because the concept of this, well, most RPGs, is that you can, well, RPGs in general, is that you go to shops and craft new weapons that gradually get more powerful over the course of the game. And we're definitely kind of going for that with this too. And it works with that hunter and warrior. It works for their weapons because they've got a physical weapon with an axe for the warrior and a bow for the hunter. But for Rose, it's kind of working a bit differently if she's just using something that's just on her body, which is a teeth. She wouldn't need a weapon from the shop, but it makes it a little bit difficult to think how her teeth would get upgraded, if you know what I mean. And that's why I'm only considering maybe switching that to an actual physical weapon like claw, just so it's consistent with the rest of the classes in the game. So, because then you can buy new claws from the shop, for example. Maybe different blood from rare creatures alters her teeth vampire powers, and those blood upgrades are whether buyable or gotten via side quests. Yeah, that sounds complicated, and I kind of do want her to work the same way as the rest of the class, because that's, as soon as things get a bit complicated, people can get. But yeah. Wow, I just rounded the collector in my Blood Moon Darkest Dungeon run. He didn't even touch me. GG, Eulogy. That is a hard game. It's a tough game, that one. GG. Gets back from space and out in a very philosophical combo with the dude and tries to make it look like I've been listening. Welcome back, Lude Melon. But yeah, it's a funny one, having teeth as a weapon. So all I'm saying is I was considering just, changing that just so she can have something physical as a weapon. Unless, like Zexy says, we can have a creative way of getting around that, but something with that what isn't too complicated, if you know what I mean, or changes the mechanics of how weapons work. I want the mechanics and how you can buy weapons and craft weapons to remain the same if we're gonna do that, but we'll see. So transaction, I sort of got that working, but I'm not happy with how it looks visually in the battle system, because I'm just not sure, but I'll mess around with these sort of things over the weekend. And I don't know about the numbers either, because at the moment it's heal an ally by 80%, and that uses 20% of maximum health. And it's like, is that too much? 80%? See, it feels like a bit OP to heal by that much. And 20% only of maximum health for that. Wouldn't it be better for it to be the same, so that the health that you transfer is the same? So if you're giving 20% of your health, they should have 20% of it. Is that flawed? Is that a flawed concept, chat? Or does this actually work? Because I'm not sure. Corrosion, yeah, still gotta get that working, but that is just a dot, so it shouldn't be too hard to set up. So now it's just the hunter skills, really thinking about what they're going to be. I did have a think, and I think I've got something in mind that could work for hunter as the first 4 skills. I was having a peep at our little box here, because we've got a lot of skills, and some of them, the ones that drew me, I'll talk about now. So for the first one, the very generic first unlockable skill, I thought about the one that is currently labelled True Shot. It's under Archer, but I feel it works well as a generic attack. Well, it's a normal attack that lowers enemy speed. That's basically what it is. So that's kind of the one that I thought was the basic, not sort of basic hunted skill that doesn't have to fall into any particular build. But for these 3, the tamer one is interesting because there's less skills for a start. There's only going to be a few animals. So my idea for that, well, Storm Eagle suggested that we don't start the tamer tree until later because there's less skills, but I had another idea. And my idea was just to make them cost more CP class points. So for example, if the average skill costs, say, 200 class points to unlock, tamer would cost 3 times or 4 times more than that. So it would be either 600 class points or 800 class points to unlock the actual animal. And the reason why it should cost more as well is because the animal has 3 skills themselves, and they're generally, it's quite an OP skill if you can summon. And so you'd have to grind your class points if you were going to go for that. That's kind of the idea I had in mind for that. Archer, Arrow Rain, an AoE. An AoE that only does 50% of the normal attack damage. So it's not too OP. Felt like an interesting one for Archer. And Survivalist, I did think about the poison dot damage over time, but I thought maybe introduce that later. And instead of that, actually have one that's an extra loot, because someone suggested an extra loot thing from certain enemy types, and they called it trap, and it was called extra loot from animal based enemies. But I thought we could have it be plant based, extra loot from plants, because that's relevant to the Everbloom Forest. So it could, I don't know, be not called trap, but we'll give it something a bit more specific, because if we were going to go for this extra loot drops type of skill, it'd be a passive skill, by the way, obviously. There would be like different ones you could unlock depending on what animal or enemy type they are. So there could be one for plants, there could be one for animals, there could be one for humans, there could be for birds, and lots of different. And this one, it could be called Plant Plucker or Plant Picker or something. And it would be extra loot from plant-based enemies. So that would be it would be a tempting skill to learn. Because we're in a forest that has a lot of plant enemies, and instantly if you're playing as a hunter and you saw that there, you'd think, oh yeah, give me that extra loot, because you know, having that extra loot early on could go a long way for crafting and for making money, because you'll be able to sell it at shops. And it would fit under the survivalist branch, I think, most, especially because it's the whole, if out of all of these anyway, if we were going to go for that kind of build. And then the things like traps and poisons could come in later on in the skill tree, and then maybe there'll be another one later that is something that gets extra loot from whatever's in the next dungeon, branching off from that on. Let me catch up with chat anyway, because I've been rambling. Like, she had started out with a vial of human blood starting in her weapon slot, and she can buy like manticore blood to equip, and story wise that causes her teeth to become harder and sharper. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. It's interesting. I like the idea of going, that would be a way to solve the flaw of her not having a weapon, because I 100% want her to have something equipable in her weapon slot, you see, for sure, because it just feels very, that's what we're going for. To keep the consistency, they should have a weapon. So I feel like, yeah, we have to be creative about it if we're gonna stick with the teeth. So literally having a vial of human blood in the weapon slot, would that work? Does that make sense, to reckon, chat? I like the idea of going for that kind of thing now. She can buy manticore blood to equip in story wise. Yeah, I think I like what you're saying. I just need more info on how that is going to be, just so I can get it more. My eyes are caught on yeah, that's basically something that makes them fall to sleep. So the survivalist would have that. The survivalist is kind of going to be the debuffer and the status affector and the trapper, and also the one that picks up all the extra loot and stuff. And I think it's an interesting build for Hunter. And so is the animal one. The animal's like really like a sort of summoner in a way, but different, because they have forest-based animals as their pets rather than magical like a summoner might. And yeah, I feel like for these animal ones, they're such big ones skill wise that they should cost a lot of class points. And then you can have your standard, maybe an AoE, because we don't want to get too complicated too early, and there are a lot of complex skills here, and I kind of think starting simple early is best, and then bringing the more advanced stuff later on. You could call it forage, since they'd be foraging dead plants for extra loot. Oh, I like plant pluck. Yeah, I think forage is a good one, don't get me wrong, but I think the reason I think something like plant plucker could work is because it's versatile. And when you think, say for example, if we was to get to another dungeon that had birds in it later on, that it could be called bird, something beginning with B, an alliteration that relates to mugging, or you know, we could go for that same theme with all enemy types and have these funny words that are basically mean the same as plucker, but for the other animals. So definitely feel like we can go for a cool theme of lots of different names there. A bit like how we've gone with the warrior debuffer with the squish it and crush it. Like, there'll be different debuffers for different types of enemies there, and we'll probably have a range of them eventually with the same themed name, based on what they are. You want the we definitely will have that skill for sure. It'll probably come after poison. What order do you see status effects? Like, I always think poison's a very early game status effect that it's tend to be learnt in RPGs, and things like sleep come after that, and blind as well. Blind kind of is an early one as well, but then things like paralyze and confusion are definitely the more advanced ones that come later. But I definitely don't want to make, you know, enemies immune to those status effects, because I feel like it takes away the use of them. Status effects are really fun. I think so anyway. What do you guys think? Do you like it when games make state effects immune? Or do you like it when they don't? I suppose different enemies and that'll have their weaknesses against certain ones. And some might be immune to some. It's okay to make them some immune to some, but not everything. Because that's too OP. Enchanted toothpaste consumables. Iron grill, gold grill, diamond grill. Get them some metal teeth. Oh my goodness. Are we going to do that with Rose's wet teeth? What do you reckon? As for teeth for Rose, what sort of name could you imagine theme them going with? What Kindled said sort of actually kind of works. I don't know about the word grill though. It sounds, well, grill means girl nowadays, doesn't it? that's what they say. You're a grill. I'm gonna steal that idea from my idea book I use on game jams. Yeah, you should. It's quite interesting. Enchanted toothpaste consumables. Perhaps not just extra loot, but special loot. Poison made from a plant corpse to hunt animals, and poison made from animal corpses to hunt plants. So what do you mean? But like, because we haven't really had, we don't even know what the loot is in the game yet, because we haven't had any item discussions yet. But when the time comes, I think we've kind of planned for the item discussion to come after the skill creation. So once we've done the skills, it's going to start being important to talk about items, because we're going to want to know what things the enemies drop and what sort of accessories and healing items there are and things that are going to be on the field, because we're definitely going to need poison healing stuff, that's for sure, because we're going to get poisoned by the toxic plant quite early on. So that will be something that's super fun to talk about. And so yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. As for vampire being supernatural, how about you use magic like an amulet or an orb to hone different aspect to their body, that being equipped? Well, give me an example, Lewd Melon. Only because I love what you're saying. It sounds all really creative, but sometimes I just need an example of what, you know, how it would work, like a context to it. Because I'm so slow, I'm not gonna lie. I can take a while to grasp things, but once I've grasped them, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm okay if there are a few enemies immune, like fire elemental should be immune to fire, some things should be immune to poison, but they should be few and should be kind of obvious in advance. Yeah, it has to make sense with what the enemy is, doesn't it? Otherwise it'd be just frustrating. Okay, so I'm going to get these skill ideas in now. So for a normal attack that lowers enemy speed, it's called True Shot here, but I'm not sure if the name True, I like Shot, but I'm not sure if True is the most fitting for something that's speed related. I was thinking Steady Shot or Swift Shot or something like that. I don't know. I wanted the name to kind of make it obvious that this is something that lowers the enemy speed, and it has to be opponent as well. Because some of the descriptions of opponent in them, and some of them have enemy, so we want to make sure we keep it consistent. Normal attack lowers speed of opponent, that's it. So I kind of like that the hunter's going to be somebody who's going to excel with being faster, and that's a kind of a good early attack to get that speed advantage early on as a hunter. And I feel like the hunter definitely needs something, because the warrior is quite good, they're quite strong, especially with their adrenaline. It buffs both their attack and defense for a bit, So the hunter definitely needs something that's an advantage to him as well, and I suppose this is something that will help be an advantage. I think being able to lower some of the speed of some of these enemies will be beneficial in battles. But you know, you have to kind of make it appealing for the person to use the skill. Otherwise I'll just spam attack if it's useless. But at the same time, we don't want to make it too OP so that they never use normal attacks. It's all that about with balancing. I don't know what a vampire is in your game. Say it's a melee and we can have an orb slotted weaponry so it's close to spell sword. If it's a ranger, it could be a more sneaky person using poison. If it's a mage, think a focus like orb. They channel their mana through depending on which orb they focus through. It adds an effect to the attack. Well, that's the thing with vampire. They're not like one of them specifically, especially with the different builds we've got. I mean, generally they're melee, but especially if you're going for the butcher route, they'd be melee. But Temomancer and Thaumaturge are more magic-y based and all based on their own blood and changing the properties of that blood to either perform destructive spells or be a healer. So it's a very, you know, it's a funny kind of class in that way in a lot of ways, and especially because of the weapon. It's just, I mean, the most simplistic thing to do would literally to have your teeth equipped, you know what I mean, and just think of a really cool name for the teeth and make them upgradable. I guess that's like something like Kindled said, like about the golden iron grill, but I'm not 100% sure about those particular names, but I like that approach because it's simple and it keeps it consistent with the hunter and the warrior and the rest of because every single class is going to have their own weapon. I mean, the knight will probably have the sword and the shield. Diplomat, probably a book or something relevant, something that's not a weapon, like a typical weapon anyway for diplomat. Herbalist, a spade or something very herbalist related. Gunner, obviously a gun. They'll all have their own unique weapon, so I think going for that same theme in some way, as long as it's an equipable and it makes sense and it doesn't confuse people, should be kind of what we aim for. Wing shot for the fast one, that's an interesting one. So yeah, I was thinking swift steady or wing shot, so we could go for wing shot for now. So because we'll probably have different types of shots, like I can imagine us having a few. So for example, a normal attack could do something else, maybe not lower speed, but maybe lower evasion, lower, who knows. And it'll be cool to think of appropriate adjectives or whatever, nouns or whatever, I think it's adjective, to go to as a word before shot. I kind of like the theme, going for a set of skills having a same theme pattern, just because then it's easy for people to remember the skill and what they do then, in my opinion, especially if we're going to end up having a lot of skills. And thank you for that follow, Dragon, I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. How are you today? Choosing between income and damage feels bad. Each tree should do some of both. Like archery uses enchanted arrows to grow more effectively, so you buy less of them, and survival gives strong poisons to boost DPS. The thing is, you're not locked in. I just want to make that clear. You don't have to choose. I mean, in a way you are choosing. You're choosing what you want first, but it's not like you can't learn the others once you get enough CP for them too. I just want to make that clear, because I want to make these builds very distinct from each other. I don't want them to be too similar, because then they're not going to have anything unique about them. So you're not locked in, that's all I'm going to say. People can very well learn the extra loot one first and then think, well, now I want the animal, the tamer one. They can totally do that. I hope that makes sense. It has to make sense, and it has to feel fair. If free dungeons and everything start being immune to poison for the rest of the game, it doesn't matter if those creatures would really be realistically immune, and the player is just going to feel like an idiot for picking the poison skill early on. That's useless now. Exactly. Poison will never be useless in this game. I'm going to try and make status effects a thing, as long as they're not annoying. But yeah, the main thing I want to make sure of is that every skill has a use from the moment it's unlocked until the end of the game. Really, do I want any useless skills? And maybe in some dungeons some skills won't be as useless, but there'll be a time later on when the use comes back. That's like when the strategic element of it all happens. Like, you know, you'll always have to remember that the skill and think, now's the time we can use that skill. It's useful here. Like, you know what I mean. I hope I'm making sense. Instant shot. Instant shot's interesting too. The only thing with instant is that there's actually a mechanic called instant casting, and in RPG make, and people might think it's an instant cast shot, but I think either winged or something like steady shot could work cool for this. I love books as weapons. Scholar, yeah, and I think diplomat is perfect for having a book. I don't think we've got a scholar in the game. We have a cleric. I mean, we'll manage to think of weapons for all of these. Some will take more thinking for sure, because some of them are very bizarre and creative, but there'll always be something that can be a weapon, I'm sure of it. But yeah, diplomat, the first thing that came in my head was book. But who knows, maybe there's something else that would be cool too. We'd probably have to discuss options and then pick the best out of the suggestions. Vampires with intricate enchanted tooth accessories, both to bite through metal and to look pretty, make sense to me. Yeah, so we're just thinking of a name for something like that, I guess. Like, for example, the hunter will have, I don't know, a generic type of bow. Wooden bow. What's a very early game weapon that people usually have? Yeah, something like wooden bow or something really basic. And like the vampire equivalent would be wooden teeth. That sounds terrible. Who would want wooden teeth? You know, it'd be cool to think of some cool named potential weapons. Because I don't know, I can't think of any. But knowing some names might make things feel more awesome about this direction of having teeth as a weapon. I'm fine, last 15 minutes of work before I go home. Ooh, wow, that's exciting. Work's nearly over. And thanks for joining us, Dragon. And hi, Six, how are you doing today as well? What are cool ideas, Rex? What exactly? I'm curious. Papercut crit build to best book build. Oh my goodness, that would be funny. That's what the diplomat can do if the enemies don't listen to them when they try to reason. They can be like, fine, you can have a paper cut now. Do you have to choose the skills linearly? Like, if I choose plant pluck first, the next time I level up, will I only have access to tier 1 archer and tamer options, or the tier 2 survivalist option? Or since I've unlocked one tier 1 skill, could I then unlock any tier 2 from any of the... Yes. And I wanted to... I briefly discussed that and responded to Fellow earlier when he mentioned, let's find it in chat. Fellow basically mentioned that he felt, I can't find it now, that the whole choosing this was bad. He said that this skill tree was bad basically because I'm making people choose between very different things. But I'm not making you choose, so I wanted to make that clear. So Zexy, no, you can go back. You can pick the survivalist option, but you can pick the tamer too. This is why we have arrows. So basically, when you learned wing shot, you can go in any of the directions, and then you can go back into them. You're not locked. I hope that makes sense. Because I just feel like locking people off is a bad thing. Some people will want to grind, and they'll potentially want to learn get every single node. That's what people did in Final Fantasy. They got every single Final Fantasy X. They got every single node on the sphere grid, and they were allowed to do that, you know. And people should be allowed to get every single node if they get the class points to do that, you know. Otherwise it can be frustrating for those completionists that want to get every skill in the game. And not everybody's a grinder and completionist. Some people can't be arsed with all that. But if they can't be arsed, then yeah, you're going to have to choose then, I guess. Also, dry fingers from turning too many pages. That's great. I love how you're coming up with these ideas for Diplomat already, chat. We've got paper cut and dry fingers. So it'll be fun. I hope we remember this. Hope we do. Feel like I should make a note. And who knows what Diplomat's even going to be like skill-wise or mechanically yet. It's an unusual class, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to decide. Perhaps guilt grills can be named after toothy magical beasts like Silver. Okay. That's interesting too. So you actually mean call the actual teeth weapon after the beast? I do like having something magical or sounding as though. I don't want like something boring like wooden teeth or metal teeth or iron teeth, you know. I don't know. I think we can get a bit more creative than that. But I know I'm still clueless. I'm still clueless. Completionists be damned. Speedrunners are the ones who keep games alive. Oh no. See, I'm a completionist. I'm 80% completionist. No, I'm about 30% completionist and 70% explorer, maybe. Maybe a bit more completionist, but I'm 0% speedrunner. I cannot speedrun to save my life. But some people will speedrun this game, and that'll be really fun to see how fast people can get through this game. That's something really exciting. Well, what I'm asking is, if I want any skill from Survivalist, will I first have to pick Pack Plug, or could I pick something from Archer and then skip past Plent Plug altogether for the next time I level up? Oh no, you will have to follow the branch, but the thing is, there probably won't be like a straight linear branch just for Survivalists. There's a chance it'll branch off to different relevant skill types itself. You know what I mean? I hope I'm answering your question and I haven't misunderstood. But yeah, you will have to, if it's in the way, you'll have to unlock it then. Because otherwise people can take advantage, I feel. If they can go past a skill that's in the way, they can unlock something later on and end up too OP for what, you know. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, you definitely have to unlock it as long as it's in the way. But there won't be just that one branch for Survivalist, I don't think. I'm very much imagining that eventually there'll be other branching paths coming off certain skills. And because I feel that would just be more interesting than having this long straight Survivalist path and a long straight Tamer path and a long straight Archer path. And I feel like grouping relevant skills up together could be better. I don't know. What do you reckon? You are absolutely answering the question. Thank you, Rose. Oh, I'm glad. Sometimes it can be hard to totally get what someone's meaning, but I always try to understand if I can. And Dad, thank you for the 26 months. Oh my God, what's happened to Mark? He's see-through again. 26 months. That is crazy. You are one of my longest subs, Dad. Dad? Did I just call Dad Dad? Thank you so much, Dad. Can we have some hype in chat, please? I appreciate you. Savoli should get more talent branches than others, because you know they get more from plants. What do you mean, because they get more from plants? I'm a little bit confused there. But to be honest, some might be longer than others for sure. Some of them might end up having more skills than others. For a start, Tamer is probably going to have the least skills out of all the free builds. But we're making up for that by making those skills cost more. They'll cost more CP because there's fewer of them, if that makes sense. So, and some people might not be willing to part with like 800 class points when they can lock more skills that cost less. Like what it would cost to unlock the first creature, Dawning Wolf, was the name. I think Dawning Wolf's a pretty cool name, but let me know as well if you've got any ideas for names, but it's not a bad one. Dawning Wolf, it's going to be expensive, and some people might think it's not worth unlocking that when I can lock like 3 or 4 other skills for the same price. But maybe it will be worth unlocking it. That's why we've got to balance it properly, so that the free skills that you unlock will kind of be equivalent to the strength of having Dawning Wolf unlock. Like, it's not going to be any stronger, it's not going to be any weaker, it'll just change the approach a bit, I guess. I can't believe I've known you for over 2 years. I know. I can't even believe I've been streaming for over 2 years. It's crazy. Talent tree with talent branches, never mind. I'm sorry, I just don't understand things. I really don't. It's very difficult, chat, to absorb so much information from different people when you're streaming and trying to do things. I hope you understand that. And if there is an important point you want to say, and obviously I want to listen to your ideas, we do have a Discord ideas channel. You're welcome to expand on anything you say in streaming there. Sometimes when I'm not live, I can read it properly and properly take it in, and it's a lot easier then, for sure. We need to do you a dad dab. Yeah. We could have a lot of stages in Dawning Wolf. Yeah, well, that's another thing too. I did think there's also the option to split the skills, because there are 3 skills Dawning Wolf has here, and that's why I thought triple the class points, because 3 skills, or quadruple it, well, to say. And I thought about potentially separating them, but it could also, I don't know about that. There's something I like about having it be this big, massive node that costs a lot, and that sacrifice to waste so many class points on it there's something exciting about that, in my opinion, because there's no other skill we've got so far that works that way. So it's just something different. There's a bit of variation in how the hunter branch works there, and it's sort of appealing that you get a pet with 3 whole skills when you've spent that much on it. I mean, it's a subjective thing. Some people might disagree with me, but there's something epic about the sound of a skill that costs like 3 or 4 times as much as some of these smaller ones around it. I get it now, yeah. And the good thing about the skill tree, we can visually like give them their own images and stuff and make them look pretty, the nodes, and it's like, yeah, we have an opportunity to really visually make some of these nodes look really special, and and fancy, and we could do that with Dawning Wolf to tempt people. Like, yeah, spend all your CP on this cute little wolf pet, you know you want to. But some people might not want to, and that's cool because you've got choice of other skills too. What does the wolf do, and will it affect vampires in the party? Well, I think synergy between party members is a very important thing to consider as well. Like thinking how well the hunter will work with vampire and how well the warrior will work with vampire things. We've potentially talked about combination skills. We haven't done that yet because it feels like a bit too much too early on to consider all these mechanics. And we don't want to get overwhelmed, otherwise we could easily spend the next 50 streams just discussing skills otherwise. But we have considered it. We've considered combination skills. Like say, for example, if you've got a hunter and a vampire in a party, maybe if they're together, there's a certain skill that they can combine and use together. I think Chrono Trigger did something like that. And I think Final Fantasy IX as well did with Vivian Steiner. Who were the black mage and the warrior in that game. They had a skill that sort of combined where they did this powerful sort of thing, and it was pretty cool, badass. There's just something to consider, like classes, if you put them together, how that work. I think that's quite strategic and exciting, but it's also could get very, very complicated as well. So we probably have to consider that at another point once we've set some more of these skills in stone. But who knows? Maybe it could have an effect. We haven't even considered weaknesses, resistances, or anything like that yet either. But obviously that is something we're going to do as well at some point. And Hayden, thank you for that follow. If it's more expensive, it needs to be worth it. Exactly, Kindled. I think it's worth it, just that you've got a cute little wolf pet, to be honest. But yeah, it does have to have some benefit to the skill wise as well, otherwise people will be bitterly disappointed if they've unlocked it and it's not epic. But at the same time, that we have to get that balance between it being very useful and being too OP, you know. But that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, but we'll do it. Even if we have to do 1,000 battles to get it right, we'll do it. So as for description, I'm just going to say summon a wolf as the description. We do have it in more detail here. And by the way, these are just placeholders for now. These skills that are in these boxes are literally just suggestions from the community that I plopped in here. The numbers and what they do on all the names aren't always set in stone. We can always edit them more to our liking if we wish. But if you want to, I mean, let's see, we got player skills. If you want to have more of a peek, we do have a link to this document, so you can read more about the wolf on there. But this was Storm Eagle's idea. All this was. He has a lot of very cool skill ideas. I mean, the cuteness alone, exactly. Some people might think just the cuteness would be enough to be worth those points. So yeah, summon a wolf. And I am going to put in brackets costs. Should it be 3 times or 4 times? It's hard to say. I'll say 3 times for now. But if when we do some balancing, if we feel like we need to push it to 4 times as much, we can totally do that. Because we don't know the figure that what the average CP is going to be for a skill yet, because we won't know that until we give battle rewards out. Once we start giving CP points out as a reward from killing enemies, we'll add all those up. Say the toxic plants in the Winding Way area around the Blessed Cascade area, the forest plus the mushrooms, the bees and the flowers. However much they add up to could potentially be what 1 skill costs. And we don't know that until we've actually assigned an amount of class points as a reward from them. And that'll be when we'll do a test play, and we'll go through the forest and fight some enemies, and we'll see. But we can it's hard to know at this stage, but we'll get the skills done first, and all that can come later. Does the druid get the wolf too? No, the druid will turn into the wolf. The druid's more like a shapeshifter and actually becomes something. And not necessarily a wolf either. It can become any... We don't know yet what those animals or creatures the druid will transform into will be. But they're more definitely the shapeshifter class, which works differently from a summoned pet, of course. You know, like this, with a summoned pet, they'll actually be a pet with you in battle next to you. I think that's how it'll work. I don't know. I might be mistaken. It might only come when you select the skills. It might actually not be physically standing next to you, but it'll come out when performing the skills, maybe. I don't know RPG Maker's limitations when it comes to summoning yet. I haven't done my research with the summoning side of the engine. Hi Van, how are you doing today? It's good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. Crazy. Okay, so let's get the rest of these skills in. So, Dawning Wolf, and what was my other ideas? Plant Plucker. Plant Plucker's a cool name, isn't it? Is there a dash between plant and based? And that's tempting for people in the Everbloom Forest, because there's a lot of plants. We've got a lot of plant enemies here. I mean, we do have a deer as well, and we have a bee, and that's an insect. And is it a mammal? Is a deer a mammal? So they won't be relevant to the extra loot, but we've got a toxic plant, a mushroom, a flower, stumpy, and we have the big tree as well, which are all plant-based enemies. So you will get the extra loot from those 5. So 5 out the 7 enemies. And that's quite worth it, especially if the loot, you know, is very useful. And we're going to make it useful in this game. We're not going to have crappy pointless loot. That it will have its uses. Loot includes anything really, doesn't it? Or does it just include beast related items? Like, for example, the toxic plant might drop a sharp tooth from its mouth. It'll be fun to think of what sort of stuff they'll drop though. And for this one, I thought could be tempting for people to go for this one. Because some of the battles in the Everbloom Forest have so few enemies in them. Especially that one with the bees. That has a, you know, if I accidentally swarm, that particular battle can get out of hand. So something like that would be very handy against them. But there are also battles like Stumpy and Father Maple where they're on their own, where it won't be as useful. So I feel like out of all the skills in these boxes, these particular ones felt like good early game skills more, because some of them get more complicated. And something like the trap, the poisony snake venom ones and that, I feel like it'll be an early status effect for the survivalist, potentially one of the next skills that are learnt. But it seemed a bit premature to learn poison in the Everbloom Forest. There's actually enemies. The enemies here probably I'm not sure if many of them would be weak to something like poison themselves, considering they're plants anyway, but it will have its use in later dungeons possibly. I do like Arrow. I like the name of Arrow Rain, and obviously Ambrose Rain, so I would like that name, wouldn't I? Yeah, so out of all these skills, chat, which one's your favourite? I've been asking that question a lot. I asked chat yesterday what their favourite one is out of all the vampire ones. A lot of people said Drain. Some said Transaction and Corrosion as well. The one that didn't get any people say they liked it is Rush. And, you know, it's made me purposely want to make that a really useful skill now, so people pick that one. And I personally think Rush is a fantastic skill. Probably too OP, actually. So it might. I'm thinking of giving it a cooldown if it is too OP, but we'll say. We'll decide when we do balancing. And I think people said they liked Frenzy, but some people said they wouldn't use Frenzy. So that was a 50-50 one, which is quite interesting. I wonder what's the most popular out of these. You like Dawning Wolf, you'd save up your CP Kung to get that pet, would you? Yeah. I defo feel it'd be worth it to have that cute pet. Can't believe there isn't a Blood Rain skill there. I know. I wonder if the vampire... I mean, the vampire has tons of blood-related names, but I was actually saying yesterday how I don't want every vampire skill to have the word blood in the name. And it's just simply so to make the skills sound different from each other. So they're very... Because people, if skills have names that are too similar, people might think... get confused. Not everybody, some people aren't like that, but I know I am. I know I'd get confused. Okay, so now we're going to put these skills into RPG Maker now, because we've been discussing them for a while, and I think we're happy with those, aren't we? Honestly, if I'm honest, I wouldn't know which branch to go for. First, that is. You know, I'd probably learn them all because I like them all. But as a first one, it would definitely be a dilemma. Offhand, I like plant pluck, but I prefer lore and crafting and such. And loot is a good way to craft and get lore from item descriptions. That being said, it'll depend on how the loot system ends up being and if there's a crafting system to make loot interesting. Well, there is. There is a crafting system, although we haven't fleshed it out yet. We don't really know exactly what will be crafted yet, or how it will all come together, but the goal with it will be to make the crafting system have a point. There's nothing worse than a pointless crafting system. For example, in my opinion, if there's a sword, for example, well, let's say a bow, because we're talking about the hunter today. So let's say there's a really cool bow that you can craft, but it's really complex to get all the loot and items needed for it. If you can buy that same bow in the local shop, in the village, next to the dungeon, why would you craft it? You know what I mean? You wouldn't, would you? So I feel like if you're going to craft weapons, it should be exclusive to crafting. Maybe that, what do you guys think? Maybe I'm one who thinks that. I don't know. I just think it gives more appeal to crafting to have some sort of exclusive, only crafting obtainable items. Because as soon as you can buy it in the shops, people will just do it that way instead. And then crafting just doesn't get made use out of. Oh, nearly 200 drops, Neffel. GJ. Okay, so we just need to get these hunter skills popped in now. And then we will have successfully thought of all our 12 skills. And the job will be implementing them. And implementing is the interesting and difficult part because it involves numbers. But we'll do some of that today, and whatever we don't do, I'll do off stream. I think all of the hunter ones I've done. I've done rush and I've kind of done transaction. I'm in the process of doing drain, so we're on the way to that. And then all it'll be after that, I'll be doing all the pretty animations and action sequences for each of them. And I'll be doing those along with these, because there's still some of those I have to finish off for the enemies. And then really after that, it's just about the balancing and making sure all that works. But if you look at the extension where I've got my schedule for the month, I've kind of says we'll probably be doing most the balancing once we've actually got the first boss out the way, and perhaps when we've discussed items as well. And I'm only thinking that because then we can actually give the battle rewards from the enemies, and we can all do it at the same time then. I mean, I've kind of been doing balancing as I've been testing, but I keep stopping myself and saying, no, not yet. It's too early. Because it's pointless if we haven't got our armour and stuff properly equipped. But I've been like messing about with the formulas and stuff for attack. And I've changed it to a really, really simple one. And personally, this is easier for me to have this formula rather than the old one, which was multiply by 4. And it just got really confusing, because for me, when we was doing the attack adrenaline, so where is it? Particularly when I had to start adding the perimeters for giving the attack buff on adrenaline, the defense buff, it basically is meant to increase it by 25%. And when the attack was multiplied, it made it way too OP. And obviously I would have had to have done some maths to try and work that out for what the proper figure should be. And I just thought, screw this. I thought I'm just going to make it a really simple formula. And it's much easier for me to understand the numbers now I've changed that. Because I'm just bad with numbers. Right, back to the skills. So it sounds like Plant Pluck would seem to match my preferred playstyle, so I would go for it first. But I would want the other options too. I feel like this is a good start. Rose, thank you, Zach. So yeah, the main thing is that we don't block people out for sure. Like we said, it was mentioned earlier, that could be, if you're forced to go down one, and can't go back, it could frustrate some people for sure, and I totally get that. There's nothing wrong with games that want to do that, but could get some people salty. The consequence to choices, making it that much of a big deal that you have to choose one branch and can't even go back, is going a little bit far. Because most games that have branches, like if I think things like Horizon Zero Dawn was one, I think. I didn't finish that game, but I remember them having different kinds of builds and branches when you were learning your skills, but you could pick and choose. You didn't have to just do the one, and I thought that was cool. Plant Pluck sounds like a combat ability that loots extra plant while it's still alive, causing damage and bleeding to plant enemies. Chaotic Evil Rangers for the win. Yeah, it's a passive, so hang on, is it called Plant Plucker? It's called Plant Plucker, isn't it? And I feel like Plucker is ideal for a passive skill, because once you've got that skill, you're forever a Plant Plucker. It's your title, Jesus the Plant Plucker. And that made me think about Frenzy. I kind of was tempted to change it to Frenzied, just because for a passive skill, something that's permanently given, it kind of felt like more appropriate than, because to me Frenzy sounds like something that's only, I don't know, it was just thinking of, because passive skills might need different wording for those reasons, but that's me just overthinking things and just really trying to because I can be a bit like that. But let's get these skill names in. Wing shot. I really like plant plucker because it's very versatile. Like, there's a lot of room for having a theme of names for different things. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like just going to the Google define and looking in the similar words for plucker, you'll find lots of different kind of words. I'm gonna have a peek myself actually for words similar to plucker. Or it's not even just plucker. I forgot what word it was I used to find plucker. I think I defined snatch or something like that, or steal or grab. And then I ended up finding a load of words that meant the same thing. And I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. We can have like a theme of different looting or grabbing words. And then just put the name of the creature in front of it. Missed that out, so it should say normal attack, that low speed to the opponent. I knew there was a typo. Thank you, Carlo, for that follow. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Oh, I've got a malware on my computer. Apparently, threat secured. Go away. I have not clicked anything. Go away. Can you hear that beep, guys? It's not shutting up. I don't like it's my antivirus. Go away. Go away. Stop disrupting me. Oh my goodness, how many is there? That never happens. Don't know what's happened there. What were you saying about crafting items, being able to buy the items from a local shop? I agree. I think a craftable bow should be somewhat exclusive and should maybe offer something unique. Yeah, unique, like sort of buffs that for when it's equipped. That's a cool idea too. A store-bought bow might only boost attack, while a crafted bow might increase attack and maybe deal a bit of elemental damage, or also increase SP, attack, or agility. That's actually a really cool idea. It could be like a very similar bow as the one in the shop, like the same type, or even a similar name, but with the extra enchantments and bonuses on it. Whereas it's just a basic, boring bow in the shop. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. We'll consider that for sure. I was thinking Flower Child, but it's more Druid thing. Yeah, Druid is definitely gonna have those foresty names. For sure, although Hunter's pretty foresty themed too. I like the idea of having passive skills and be in the past tense, or maybe in a passive voice from a grammatical sense. It'd be neat consistency to have and see if anyone notices. Yeah, I'm glad you agree with that, Zexy, because I was thinking of it. I was thinking once you have that passive skill, it kind of becomes a title in a way, like you become that. So for example, plant plucker, it's just way more ideal than just plant pluck, for example. Because you are a plant plucker, because it wouldn't be passive. If it was plant pluck, it just feels a bit off. So yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm thinking with Frenzy, because I think that's our only other passive skill, if I'm correct. I don't think any of the vampire ones are passive ones. No, they're not. They're all active ones so far, the vampire ones. But yes, Frenzy is our other passive skill. So I was just thinking, is Frenzy more appropriate? Frenzied rather than Frenzy. Or, you know, something that makes it sound like you are that now, forever. You are a frenzied Jesus. Jesus the frenzied plant plucker. Well, no, because it can't be both. You can't be both frenzy and plant plucker, because it can only be one warrior or hunter, not both. Dragon, thank you for the host. I appreciate that. Blur, where were we? Oh yeah, wing shot. I was randomly thinking about something actually with wing shot. Having it be a normal attack that lowers speed, would that make that too OP, I wonder, because it would kind of make it pointless to use normal attacks if you can just use wing shot, because you get the advantage of the lower speed. I mean, we overcame that with Drain, because with Drain, that only deals 70% of the attack. It doesn't deal 100%. So that kind of stops it being too OP in a way. If it dealt 100% attack, people would just spam Drain forever. Unless, of course, we give it an MP cost or a cooldown. And I suppose that's the only other way of making sure it doesn't get abused. I guess it's just considering how about we do those kind of things, because it's still nice for people to use a normal attack now and again. If strategically it's better sometimes. Hi Carlo, I've been here for 10 minutes and no idea what we're doing, really. Well, if you can see in our title, we're a community, we make an RPG game together. So if you're an RPG nerd and you might like this stream, we have a command, Project Command. I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do here. There's a little FAQ page on that link. We have a website though coming up. Hopefully we'll get that up and running. Maybe either at the end of the year or the very, very start of 2020. So that'll be even more awesome to show off what we do here. What? No multi-classing even for Jesus? Nah. Just the nature of how our class system works, we don't need to do that. They're far more unique and distinctive being a specialist, because we have a bunch of classes. Where is our doc again? We Raindrop Chronicles is potentially going to end up with 30 classes in it. Maybe, yeah, around that perhaps. We've got the big list here. So as soon as you bring multi-class in, it kind of just makes it all a big chaotic mess. If with that amount. If it was a game with only, you know, a few classes in, multi-classing maybe then, but it makes, the whole point is that the characters are unique. They have their own personality. They're in the story in the game, their character arc is built around their class. For example, the knight, for example, or even the sorcerer, whoever. That character arc, their job, their class is part of them and who they are. So if the sorcerer was suddenly a white mage, you'd be like, this makes no sense at all. So it's like, you know, every game's different. Some games like Final Fantasy VII, for example, had the materia system where everyone could be anything, and that's cool. It works with some games, but with other games it might perhaps not, and they all have their reasons for that. And that's why Raindrop Chronicles characters represent one class only. And I feel that that's why we went for the different builds, ultimately. Just because that gives the opportunity of making characters be different from each other. For example, somebody's hunter in one playthrough might be different to another person's hunter. Someone might have gone for more of a pet route, and another person who does the hunter might have gone for the survivalist. And that just gives the opportunity to make it different, you know, because there is always that people being like, oh, I want to I want to have more classes. I don't want to just be one thing. And well, there you go. Got builds. Got 3 different build types. Yeah, I read the title, but I only hear you talking about plant pluck and whatever. Yeah, we're doing skills today. We kind of do different things each week. And it's very much been focused around skills lately, and plant pluck is one of those skills. So there we go. That's why it's been the discussion. It's kind of, we're getting the first 12 skills done. That's been the goal. And now, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And hi, Makings. I totally missed you there, sneaking in like that. Makings of a hero. Some dummies at a cosplay come in a trivia panel and getting no questions right. They turn to the audience and was the only one who answered a single question. If Jesus were a multi-class cleric / rogue. Oh, really? Well, what a coincidence. Jesus is here in our game. Well, I honestly have no idea why Jesus is my custom hero. Like, it was literally a joke. I just called him Jesus and it just stuck forever. When I actually do the proper game now, I probably might not use Jesus. I might have a different name. I always make a party of all pet classes in RPGs just to see if the engine crushes with all pets out. Oh, really? Yeah, I have no idea how we're going to do the pet thing mechanically yet. We might only allow it one pet at a time. I don't know. I can't say because I've barely researched it, even how Summoner works. So to say how it'll work or just, you know, I can't promise anything yet. All I know is it's possible, but I don't know how yet. But it'll be fun. Be fun to do it. Okay, so plant plucker description. I just saw Paul Travis kind to class in courage and proud of it because she thought it was Jesus. You look like Jesus. Well, that's a good thing. Jesus has a fine mane of hair. That's one reason it's good to look like Jesus. I think I'm doing them in the right order. My brain's mush at the moment. Which is why I usually don't do the skill implementation on stream. Because bloody hell. Streaming and doing numbers at the same time. That would be a lot for me. I don't mind doing that when I've got someone to assist me though. Because Elite and Storm Eagle have helped out in the past when I've implemented skills. And it's okay then. Arrow Rain. Okay. I'm going to say attack, guys. We're kind of calling weapon damage attack just for consistency. Keeping all the terms consistent is important. So I guess the only thing is that we're going to keep that as a normal attack, make it weaker. And have if it's the same, will we have a cooldown? Will it cost MP? There's all these things to consider, but we'll do all that more in the balancing stage. We'll implement them first and do all that stuff, all that fun stuff. Wow, it's sort of fun. Sorry, busy right now. We'll be able to actively help more tomorrow. No worries at all, Elite. We've just been having a good dog ramble today. And you just come on by whenever you please. No worries at all. So this one will be super easy to do. Be HP damage. Use the same formula as a normal attack. And add the effect effect of lowering speed. So agility, I assume, would be that one. Ooh, this does it by turns though. So maybe we should do it with a state rather than that way. By the way, everything's an absolute mess at the moment. The states, the common events, the switches and variables, absolute mess. I'm thinking of completely changing the organisation of it all, because we're still early on in the game to be able to do that without it taking too long. Because I have absolutely no organisation for everything at the moment, and that's a bad thing. I'm just sticking anything in wherever. I mean, the skills section is the most organised out of it all, because I have actually got a plan here. But like with the status, I've just like got a mixture of status effects mixed in with passives, mixed in with random skills. I'm not sure I'm fond of that, because I'll never know what's what. Earlier is better for overhauls, but you will need to be somewhat flexible, yeah, for sure, because sometimes you think, oh, I forgot that, or it's very difficult, because as soon as you redo all the database and the positioning of the switches and variables, you just screw everything up. So you have to be super careful. Her organisation stuff, yeah. What's your trick, Elite? I'm intrigued to know your way of doing things. Because yeah, that's true. Organised but flexible, that's a good approach. But for now, I'm literally going to stick in the skill we're working on in the next state slot. But I think I do want to be more organised about this. I have no idea how to handle the state. I feel like we use the states a lot generally for debuffs and buffs and just a lot of things with the skills actually. So they'll end up being a lot of the skills we use in here. But I want to make sure I know what's what, you see, and not get confused. That's the main thing. So maybe labelling will be important, because I've done the labelling with I'm really glad about the labelling I've done here, because I'd just get so confused if everything was together and not labelled. I am hungry. I need a snack. Honestly, I organise everything on paper or in Excel so I can reorganise without messing up the game. In RPG Maker, I just use good names to be able to search for it later, and labelling is key. Awesome, yeah. I feel that's probably sensible. Excel. Oh my goodness, I haven't used that for ages. And thank you for that follow as well. 77. Welcome. Snacks are life. What's everybody's favourite snack? The snacks I adore, but I would never eat on stream, because some snacks I just like to sit down and just fill my face and chomp. And yeah, that wouldn't be but on stream, be a bit messy. I keep forgetting what skill we was working on. Yeah, wing shot, lower speed. So I guess the question is, when it comes to a state, do we just call it a lower speed state, or shall I name it after the skill? There's a number of ways to do it, I guess. I mean, the most organised way of doing it is keep all debuffs together, keep all buffs together, and everything that's related, like keep them all in the same one, because at the moment we just got lower speed here and everything's like just randomly placed. My tummy is doing a rumble. So we didn't actually pick a number to lower the speed by, did we? But I assume this would be a way we could do it. It's really weird. You know this multiply sign here? Oh, you can't even see. I'm sorry, chat. We've done the thing again where I've got the pop-up up and you can't even see it. But this little multiply sign gave me nightmares yesterday when I was trying to do one of the adrenaline for Warrior, because I was doing the battle test and it was like OP, even when I put it the right figure. And then I realised it was to do with the attack formula, because I had it as the default formula, the multiply by 4 one. But I just feel like for me, someone who really struggles to get my head around numbers, I needed to just literally go for an all out, that like something like that. And maybe that's really flawed. I did go on the RPG Maker forums and some people use that, and somebody said it's a good one because with that formula, you what you see is what you get. It's on the tin sort of thing. Like for example, if you see that an enemy has 3 defense and you attack it and it loses 12 HP, you know that your attack is 15 then, if that makes sense. Like, it's very simple numbers. It's a very simple number job for me then. I don't have to get all like, oh no, and start getting a calculator out, because that's when I get all stressed. So I'm very intrigued to know how other people deal with things like that, but it certainly makes doing these kind of things easier, because then all we need to do is think the percentage, right? How much speed is it going to be lowered by? And then if we say 50, we just put 50 in, and then it works. It's we don't have to get a calculator out and get all confused. But we didn't discuss, did we? We need to decide that now, so we can actually know. So let's have a look. Wing shot. Normal attack that lowers speed of opponent. Okay. So what? We could do it like how Squish It works. That increases plant defense by 15%. So maybe we should do for a basic starter, we have it lower speed by 15% too. Part of me doesn't know whether the 15% is good though, because at this early on in the game, it hardly benefits, because the enemy only has like what? It has barely any stats, very low numbers. So when you do 15% of say 3, it's like, it's like nothing. It's hardly anything. It'll only start to really benefit when the enemies get. And I did think about raising the stats, so that might be something we'll have to do. I know. Damn numbers. Hi Docky, how you doing? Oh, what's that? Lebkuchen? Welcome. My favourite snack is anything I can dunk or dip in coffee, even if crumbs go in the coffee. Streamlabs OBS isn't letting me scroll back. I suspect that Excel is one of the most used game editors. Yeah, I'm going to have to decide if I'm going to do it by paper or Excel, but I'm more likely going to do it on computer because, yeah, paper. I don't even think I've got any paper. I spend a couple of extra seconds scrolling or clicking to find the skill event I need, but I think it's less time would sound reorganising it all. Yeah, I guess it depends how far you are through the game. Like if I was really far through, I'd be like, no way am I going to reorganise all this, but we're still very early on and it wouldn't hurt to do the reorganising now at this stage. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it soon. Google Sheets. Oh, that's a good one as well. I'll actually probably use that because that's kind of what I'm using for everything. Hot chips, but they give you a headache. Oh no. Sucks when you like something, but it doesn't have a good reaction on you. Might be lost. Yeah, I am lost on that reference. I'm lost on a lot of references. Because everything people watch these days, I know nothing about. It needs to lower the speed by enough that it shifts the turn order. Otherwise, there's not really any practical benefit to do. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Because this is a turn-based battle system, so it has to do that for sure. And when we do the testing, I guess we'll only know then if it works or not. And if it doesn't, we'll have to edit it and maybe change about some stats so that it... And I don't mind raising stats. Like at this stage, we will have to do a lot of stat changes here. And probably for Jesus and Rose as well. But I kind of like this formula we've got though now, this very basic one, because it's so straightforward for me to think about numbers when not having to multiply and not having the multiplying thing. I just got so confused last night when it was a confusing formula. But yeah, percentages are very low. Percentages particularly aren't going to work well with low numbers. Like, because look, say white flower has hardly any defense and attack. And yeah, that's because we've not balanced anything yet. But yeah, we'll have to have a good sort out of that, because at the moment, if we did raise that, it would be way OP, I think. The low numbers kind of make it easy enough. Unnecessary and confusing symmetry, you think? Yeah, it is actually, I think it is, Elite's right, it's actually 2 defense. And honestly, maybe you guys who are pros at numbers, because I know Elite and Storm Eagle and some of you guys are really pro at numbers. But if you're someone like me, that creativity is your strength and not so much the numbers, then, you know, it's going to just be stressful, isn't it, to have to think about that. So I'm going for the super simple, no numbers, just straight out attack. Whatever your attack is, that's what it is. And same, you know, I think you can't get more simple than that. And who knows, maybe it's got its flaws. Maybe that formula is very limiting. But I know, I feel like there's a way around it, even if it is limiting, because I don't want a confusing formula. I want to get confused. I feel this way I'm gonna like have a much easier job doing stuff. And most of the projects I worked on, we did all the numbers in Excel, Google Sheets, especially so we could balance the values. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I'll use Google, I think. Rose, you referred to, does that exactly what it says on the tin, which is a reference to the TV advert? Oh, really? That's interesting, I didn't know. That's a cute emote, Neville. Trope in basically every medium. I never touched RPG Maker, so no idea. Just doesn't make common sense to me. RPG Maker's cool. Have you used any game dev engines, fellow? What ones are yours that you like? Doing numbers in spreadsheets helps to see the overall balance between all the things rather than working on individual pieces. Yeah, it'll probably help a lot. So I'm going to start. But at the same time, I'm probably going to use it as well for, oh, I don't know. I want to see Elite spreadsheet to give me tips. Probably a secret spreadsheet though. I mean, the only way to multiply attack defense makes sense to me. It's a random value, so like 0 to 200% making 100%. I mean, yeah. I didn't even think about it until I was doing some battles yesterday. And I used the adrenaline skill and it was completely doing it wrong. And it was way too OP. And I was like, what? I only increased it by 25%. Why is it this OP? Why is Jesus hitting like with 30 when he should just be hitting with 4? I was like really confused. But then I saw the attack formula. I was like, oh, that's why. That's why. And then I realised I couldn't be bothered to use a calculator to change the perimeter for the attack buff and the defense buff. So I just changed the format of that. And I was a bit concerned. I thought, oh, maybe that's a bad formula. So I copied and pasted it and put it in Google. And I saw people talking about this particular formula, and they were saying it was good. Like, they said it's a simple one, and you know. So I thought, okay, I'll go with it. We'll go with it. I can show you later. Yeah, please. If you want to put a link to it in the Discord, you can totally do that. It will help a bunch, because honestly, to know a way somebody else approaches it could give me a few tips. And hi, Rubson, how's it going? Hi, Tail Fox. I like your name. Fox. Foxes are cute animals. Hey there, just came across your channel. Interesting. I'm just getting into RPG Maker, but I've done a lot of coding before. I would think Excel would be a godsend to use with this in regards of tracking variables. Yeah. Well, I think using Google, something similar that does the same job, like Google, whatever it's called, would be, because I kind of use Google Docs for a lot of things these days anyway. And Google Forms as well, the characters. Talking about the characters, I'm probably going to work on Elite's character sheet and Fantasia's and Juice's this weekend. So keep an eye out. There'll be some new characters in the game. And welcome, Vox and anybody else that's new. If you want to read the command, feel free to. If you want to read more about the project and see some info. And it's cool to meet peeps who like RPG Maker, for sure. We can all learn from each other. Well, me learn from everyone else, maybe. With the spreadsheet, you can see minimum turns needed versus maximum turns needed and other estimates. Avoiding weird edge cases with lots of stats is helpful. People say Excel shorthand for spreadsheet. Yeah, it's the standard, isn't it? It's the standard name. Excel. It gives me bad memories of school, though. Google Sheets is a bad name, makes it sound like bedding. I prefer Google Sheets because it doesn't give me the bad shivers that Excel gives me. Excel just makes me want to curl up in my bed and cry, just because of IT lessons at school. Yeah, then my mini will be walking around. Yay! Oh, no, you were saying that and I've just realised we haven't got our cute little avatars on the screen. Because we switch screen, and sometimes I hide them when I'm doing test plays. So that's why they weren't there. But yay! Depends if it's a group project or solo. Google Docs would be good for group due to easy access, but Excel is better just for more things you can do with it. Yeah, and although this is a community project, I am reluctant to do things where we write docs together, because then you get the problem of people editing things, and you know, it could be an absolute chaotic mess. So most of the time we do the community stuff on stream, and I actually do it myself. I let people view it and have the link to the doc, but editing it directly seems a bit dangerous. If anybody in stream could get their hands on it, you know what I mean? It could be a lot of trolling and things going wrong, and all their spreadsheets get ruined. Master Emerald, thank you for the raid. How are you doing? I appreciate that. How was your stream, Master Emerald? It's because people think it's how they think accounting and the likes. Yeah, for sure. It makes me think of that too. Google Sheets is better if you prefer it. I do agree with what you say about the name, for sure. But, you know, it doesn't have those associations of all those times at school. I mean, some of you might have been complete nerds in IT and loved Excel, you know. I didn't particularly enjoy the IT lessons that much. I thought it was a bit boring. If we did something really fun in IT, it would have been a different story. Like if they says, right, we're going to make a game in RPG Maker, let's use Excel, that would have been a dream. Yes, please. But we usually just did really boring stuff, like really corporate spreadsheets. No. You're going to get trolls just being trolls. Yeah, and exactly. We're not going to let people edit the spreadsheets. Otherwise, one day I'll wake up, I'll open it, and I'll be like, what's happened to my spreadsheet? And everyone would have... None of you guys would do that because you're nice, but you never know. You never know who could come along and do that. Is there no commit system like on GitHub where you choose what changes to accept? Oh, I've never used GitHub before actually. But it's just a lot easier if I'm like the person in control of things. Like organising community projects can easily get chaotic and out of hand if not managed properly. And I think we've got a good the way things are going right now are cool. The streams are about the right level of busy for me to not get completely overwhelmed and freak out. Sometimes when things are a little bit busier and we're talking about ideas and there's like loads that come in, I might think, oh, there's a lot here, I can't take it in. So I'll tell people to submit what they were saying in the ideas section on the Discord so I can read it after stream. But you know, if things ever got like busier, I would have to kind of change things a bit, just slightly probably, because otherwise I could go crazy. But at the moment things are perfect. Sheets also isn't copywritten or trademarked. Yeah, I've used Excel lots, but I always prefer Google Sheets. Anything that's like online I prefer using generally to an actual app. That's me. Fortunately you can pull up revision history and change it back. That's always useful. Even like just one person using it, sometimes you can make a mistake and need to go back. Pardon me. Main thing I actually use Excel for is making character sheets for tabletop games that do all the maths for skills and the likes for people, so they don't have to think, oh, I misclassed so I get WXY at level Z. That's cool as well. Well guys, I'd love to see your spreadsheets. It is, as long as you're willing to share them, to give me a little bit of inspiration, I guess, for how I can organise mine. I know Elite said he's gonna share his, and the Discord's the perfect place to do that, so I'm sure there's a relevant channel to put that in. We got a lot of channels. Usually I'm trying to get people to think about their mechanics, not the other way around, lol. A lot of players in one of my pods are new and forget new abilities as soon as they get them and then complain that they are underpowered. Yeah, I mean we're still pretty early on in Raindrop Chronicles to not get overwhelmed just yet. We've only got 7 enemies with 3 skills each and 3 classes with 4 skills each at this point, but it's going to very much over time as we add more. Things could for sure get overwhelming, so it's probably best to start as soon as possible. And even like with the variables and the switches and all that business as well. Honestly, it's a right mess how I've got it set up at the moment. I really need to reorganise it all. But yeah, we're very lucky that we've only got Lakefall and 6 maps of Everbloom Forest. If the game was any bigger than that, I'd probably be a bit reluctant to do a complete overhaul of the organisation. But I think it's a good to start now. Probably do it this weekend maybe, or next weekend. Definitely this month. Isn't fun to them if you read 2K pages. If someone's not down to read 30 pages to play their character effectively, yeah, that sounds like a lot. I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah, that's true, Elite. If somebody is lazy and don't read, then screw them. Okay, so did we put all these in? I keep forgetting what I was doing. Yeah, we was We're thinking about a good percentage for wing shot to lower the speed of the opponent. And it's hard to know without doing the battle test, but I think it was Zexy that said, it has to at least make a difference to the turns, because if it doesn't, it makes the skill pretty pointless, right? Because we have a turn-based battle system. So yeah, but for now we'll put 15%, but obviously that will probably be altered if we find it's not the right number. And arrow rain, at the moment that's just an AoE that does it 50% attack to all opponents. I'm wondering actually, how do we do the formula for 50% of attack? Because our attack is just the standard of attack without a multiplier. And I'm absolutely clueless. Honestly, I'm a code noob, so I wouldn't know. If it was the multiply by 4, I suppose it'd be easier to half it. I was also going to download a plugin for the vampire drain, and then I realised HP drain is here, so I've got to just get the formula correct in there for what the attack is. This is wrong, by the way. I found this formula online. Let's get it up. I found this formula online for drain, and it didn't work. So I don't know what to do wrong, but it didn't even work at all. Anything what I wanted. Going on 20 years and played over from D&D to Marble. Oh, cool. I'm taking part in my first ever D&D campaign at the moment. My DM who does it has been playing for probably as long as you as well. They're a pro. What is even the point of a game if you don't get to read 200 pages? Yeah. Summon the wolf. Okay, that's going to be the trickiest one to pull off, but I've got to look into how summoning works on RPG mode, and then it'll probably be fine. Extra loot. See, I've got to Google a lot of these because they're all very new concepts to me. But the main thing I want to find out is how to write a formula for an attack if it's a percentage of our attack. Like half. So we've got the 50% for arrow rain of attack, and drain is 70% of attack. So, damn, I need lessons on formulas. Because I'm very new to this. I only really discovered formulas last night, funnily enough. I realised that the formula is how it's all works. I honestly had no clue until then. That's what a noob I am when it comes to skills. So, going through a massive learning curve here. I'm in love with D&D. Yay, Kendall loves D&D. D&D is a great medium for it. Yeah, exactly. It's storytelling. And I'm definitely going that route with this. Like, I see it as a storytelling experience, a time to be creative and write a story with a cast of characters together with what we do in this stream. But the battle system and all that is also a part of that, and the part I'm not as good at. So this is where I have to learn. This is the bit I have to learn. Okay, I need to start streaming now. I'm going to be like, enjoy, Ellie. I hope it goes well. Have an awesome stream. I hope your game is treating you wonderfully and going well and let it bug free. Using 1/2 for your modifier should work, since 1/2 equals 50% or 0.5. Yeah, that makes total sense, Sexy. I guess it's just knowing where that'd go. Because, right, let's just think. We get arrow rain, HP damage, and it's AoE, so let's make sure it's on all enemies. And also it's not warrior. We change all these to the hunter skill type. So yeah, it's on all enemies, and it's really just as simple as writing the formula now and making sure it just does 50%. So, like, literally I'm that much of a noob that I'd do that. You said it'd be 1/2. I just do that and hope it would work. But I know that that's probably not the right way to write it. Also, we have to start a new game when we do test our hunter as well, because we currently only have a save game with the warrior on. But that is cool. That's easy enough to do. We'll just make Jesus as a hunter. I'm going to go do a bit of a Google though first, because we need to find out this formula. Are you doing half attack minus defense? I believe what it is literally just straight the normal attack. So whatever the numbers are, they don't get modified or multiplied or anything. I honestly don't even know what the defense part means, but the default formula was basically this. I think that was the default one. So I didn't like the modifiers on it, so I got rid of them just so we couldn't keep it simple. So really I'm not really sure how it works other than that. I'm very new to it. Would attack defense work? So really it's actually written okay. I just need to put it in brackets then, if that's the case. Which makes sense. I felt like something was definitely missing. But the way Zexy says it might work as well, who knows? There's always multiple ways of doing it, I guess. Yeah, because that's divide by 2 basically, isn't it? So that would mean 50%. So I guess it's whether that's the way to write it, and only testing it will make us see if it is or not. So everything else is set as we need. It's on AoE. Oh, we have to set up the skill tree as well, I've just realised. So Notepad++, I've got to open that because that's what I use for code. So we have to put them in the skill tree first, otherwise our hunter won't be able to unlock them to test them in the first place. So I'll literally just copy the vampire and write in the hunter details. Just need to make sure I've copied everything I need to. I think that's right, but I'm confused now. I'm going to close it and open it again because I feel like I've messed it up. So it ends with the squared bracket and a comma. feel like something's wrong with this. Can't get my head around it at the moment. Bloody code. Right. Have yet to play with RPG Maker. That would be half your attack's power minuted by your defender's defense. So if attack of 12 hits a defense of 5, it would do a damage of 1. Sorry for spelling. Oh, no worries at all, Fox. No worries at all. Any of those calcs will work. RPG Maker use. Oh, okay. It's good that they all work then. So that's a good thing that you're not tied down to one specific formula. But that makes sense. This is why I like doing the basic formula without the multipliers attached to it, because it just makes it easier to get to grasp for me. I know you can probably do more with the multipliers, and it may probably is better in many ways. There's got to be a reason why the default one has those multipliers, but I don't know, I like it this way. Hi, new to the stream. Hi, Podger, how you doing? It's good to meet you. Makings of a Hero, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. And Podger and anybody else that's lurking and new today, you can read more about the project there, and I want to let you all know as well, because I like letting people know that we do have a website coming up. Here it is. It's probably not optimized at the moment, by the way, and that's because I haven't put enough time into the website yet. There's only a coming soon page up at the moment, but when the time's right to do the full launch, I'll let you all know. But there's one on the way, and there'll be more info on now when the time comes about what we do and about the game, the characters, the world, and the story and stuff. It's because it feels better for a player to have 100 HP more than like 10. Oh, so that's actually the only reason why there's a multiplier? Because I really disagree. I think having small numbers at the start of the game when you're super weak is better, because then there's more room to build it up. I don't know, maybe I'm very wrong, but I kind of like having my characters attack with low stuff. Oh gosh, go away. Getting spam. Yeah, so some people might like the big numbers, but I think bigger numbers are better later on and small numbers early on. It's a mental thing. Not too bad. I'm glad to hear that, Podger. I like the name, Podger. It's a cute name. The multiplayers allow the player to feel stronger and more HP, yet not make stats huge in attack and defense, etc. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's the only reason for it then. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste this properly, because if I get this wrong, then it's not going to work properly. But it's quite simple. Literally, all that's involved is copying the vampire and just switching it to the hunter's information. Actually, I want hunter to be above vampire. So I'm going to copy warrior instead. And that's easier then, because I don't have to think about changing the end of the code. So Hunter, this is a really cool plugin, by the way, that we're using for our skill tree. Quite a complex one, but it'll be totally worth it, because we'll get a really fancy skill tree from it. We use caps for that. And our first hunter skill was what? Winged shot, wasn't it? Hello, well, thanks. It's nice to see more female British devs. There isn't enough of you about. Yeah, I'm British, and I'm a woman, and I'm a dev. I encourage anyone to try it, because I do believe that it's not as intimidating as it sounds. I think if you've got an interest in games and putting them together, then you might be surprised, because I am a noob. I'm a big noob. big noob, so if I can do it, then anybody can. Well, I'm being a little bit, making it sound a bit easy there. There has to be a lot of passion and determination too. This isn't easy. This is taking up a big chunk of my time, but it's totally worth it when you love doing it. Yay for Brits. You're Brit as well, Fox. I'm shocked to my core. I know, right? Nobody would ever have known that. I'm from Britain. Bunter. I've accidentally put the wrong typo. Bunter's not a bad word, is it, guys? I haven't said something really offensive there, have I? I'd never forgive myself if I did. Just a typo, I swear. What was the next one? I keep forgetting what the skills were now. I can just switch to the database to see arrow rain. But a big portion of this I'm going to have to do off stream, because I get the bulk of the work done off stream. Just get more time to focus and concentrate. That's probably obvious. But stream times are really great for just discussing ideas and for bonding with the community and stuff. I value them very much, even though they're not always productive. They're like still very important and awesome. Yorkshire born and bred? Oh, cool. Judging by your accent, you're the opposite side of the country to me. I don't know about opposite. I'm from the middle, so I'm in between everybody. I wonder where Podger is from then. No, Rose, it's not easy and not everybody can do it. Yeah, I'm making it sound easy, which isn't true at all. I don't want people to assume it's an easy thing to do, because it really isn't. But all I want to say is that if you're not good at maths or not good at code, don't let that frighten you. Because I honestly don't think I'm very strong at that at all. But somehow I'm managing. A woman who picks up rags in the street. Oh no, so that is quite offensive then. Damn it. There's always a bad word, isn't there? I swear it's an accident now. It's always an accident with me. I'm always likely to do something and think, oh crap. One of these days I'm going to get banned from Twitch for doing something wrong by accident. Game dev is easy and anyone can do it, and you don't need qualifications. If you care enough to put the work in, you can do it. Yeah, it's all about passion. All about passion. Because you can be like super good with numbers and like a natural coder and a natural storyteller and a natural mapper and a natural designer and all of those things, but if you haven't got that passion, then it won't matter. So I always think that is the ultimate ingredient. English is a minefield. Well, I promise you, some of my co-workers can't even figure out Microsoft Word. They try, but they can't remember basic things. Yeah? Gosh. I can't remember the last time I used Word. Google Docs is the way to go. And Google Sheets, not Excel. But yeah. It's I think I'm somebody that can pick things up okay once I know what I'm doing. I'm just a bit of a slow learner, but I'm great once I know what I'm doing. But they are splendid when it comes to laboratory stuff. Yeah, we've all got our strengths and weaknesses, haven't we? No, I'm currently stuck in the game dev degree that I don't want to be in anymore, as they don't teach anything. It's just like, go here, learn this yourself. Yeah, honestly, it seems that that's what most of them are like. I don't want to be like negative about it, but mine was the same. I did a design degree though. I didn't do a game related degree. It was basically like, here's your brief. Like, we got this piece of paper and then it was like, go do it. And we didn't get taught about the software. or how to be a good designer, as in like how to use Photoshop, and we had to learn that ourselves. And I think college was better, which is what I did before university, because my tutor at college actually taught me how to use Photoshop from scratch. And it was like, that was really useful. That was like, I really genuinely feel like I learned at college compared to uni. That's how my 3D art class was. Didn't like it. Yeah, I wonder why they do it like that. Maybe there's too many. They just can't be bothered. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's exactly the same, but I'm 32, so I can't afford to drop out, as I'll just have to go back to general work again. Yeah, well, the thing is, once you've done it, you'll have the qualification will be something you've always got, and that's an achievement. So, yeah, don't give up. It's a good thing. I mean, yeah, you'll do it. You'll do it. It's I got a really high 2-1. I unfortunately was 1% short of a first, and I was a bit annoyed by that because I was so close. So you can do it. Uni was good. I mean, apart from the fact how it was run, I still liked it, and I had fun doing the projects and the briefs. A lot of fun. I just wish there was a bit more guidance. And I don't think they prepared you enough for work after university. Like, I honestly just did my degree because I enjoy being creative. I enjoy getting a brief and thinking, how am I going to approach this brief? What am I going to do on this brief? I really enjoy that. Like using my imagination to create something. So that's the reason I did my course, because of the fun briefs that you can do. But the reality is, when you actually get the job, you don't do that anymore. It just becomes, you just work for somebody who tells you what to do, and your imagination, it's limited. You don't even get a choice. You have to just do what they say. And it isn't about you and your imagination anymore. So really, the job world is opposite to what I wanted, why I did my degree, and the reason I enjoyed it. So yeah, unfortunately. But I had fun. I had fun being creative, and so I'm having fun doing this now. It's perfect for me. Like, literally ideal for what I enjoy doing in life. Because the imagination, we can do anything we want with this project. It's great. Good thing YouTube is full of free tutorials on professional applications. Yeah, YouTube and the internet in general is a blessing. I mean, imagine living before the internet and not having any of that stuff. What would you have done? As I don't want to work for someone else, I'm aiming to start my own indie studio. See, that's wonderful. That's a great ambition, because then you can create your stuff then. I mean, it's not easy to do that, but it's totally worth it if you can make it your livelihood. Honestly, most YouTube tutorials are better than a full semester of college, because yeah, it's true, kindled. From my experience, indie game dev is very hard and most people can't do it. Yeah, I tried it. Our game got reviewed on websites like Rock Paper Shotgun and had a very good reception. But unfortunately, the only reason it didn't work out is because me and my partner, we went our separate ways. So the project ended for that reason. So unfortunately, I will never know whether it would have ended up something and become successful, because it never unfortunately got to the stage. The project was in progress when we quit, and it was sad because I was very, very excited about it, but it was just one of those things that happen. It's that you've got no control over. But it's definitely difficult for sure, I'm sure. And even a successful game doesn't guarantee a livelihood either. I know one company that, you know, that had to get jobs doing something else because they didn't make enough money from their game. And that's a very likely thing now, unless you like Stardew Valley or something. There's also the cliche, choose a career that you like and you won't work a day in your life. Yeah. And that's it. Sometimes that's easier said than done, because like sometimes it's very difficult to end up realistically doing something you like and making a living from it. Even though I encourage people to not give up and keep trying. It's always good to have those goals. It does seem that way, which is why I'm not dropping out from my degree, just in case. Yeah, and like I say, even if like it isn't exactly what you like or it isn't what you expected, you've still got an achievement, you know, if you've passed it, and that's always a good thing to have. It can come in useful for some things, you never know. Podger, thank you for the follow, I appreciate that. It'll eventually get to the stage where universities are going to be completing things like YouTube. When that happens, it'll be fantastic for students, as it means prices will have to go down for the uni. See, Fox, I'm somebody that thinks university should be free for all. Currently, like, university prices were raised from when I was at uni. When I was at uni, it still cost, but it's like triple the price now compared to when I did my degree. And I completely, if I was a young person now going to uni, I wouldn't have gone because of the crazy ridiculous prices. I could just about manage with what it was before, which is why I did it, because I thought this is okay, this isn't too bad, even though I actually do think it should be free. And because it, most of all, because it just creates more competition, which is always a good thing, and also because it's just better. Everybody gets a chance, and people don't have to be in debt for the rest of their lives, and it just should be anyway. It's absolutely pointless, because a lot of people it's going to get wiped off for them in Britain anyway. So I've heard, if you haven't finished paying, it gets wiped off you eventually. But it's very a good point with the YouTube thing, because they are more of a useful source of information actually, but it's that YouTube only teaches you, it doesn't actually give you the piece of paper or qualification. And really that's the only reason people go to uni, especially for certain degrees nowadays. Agreed to just tax us all slightly more when we are earning. And not every education is doable on distance. Or make sure that everyone pays their fair share of taxes. That alone would solve a lot of these problems. Yeah, and I just like, the problem is with the fact that unis are so expensive now in Britain compared to how they used to be. They're not getting people to fill up places anymore. Like, barely anybody is going to uni. And because they're desperate to fill the places, they're literally just letting anybody on the course, even if like you didn't pass your exams. I know somebody that didn't pass their exams, but they're still a uni because they can't get anybody. No one's willing. As long as you're willing to pay the money, they will just let you go. And there's just absolutely no competition at all. And I don't know, it's just a mess. It's a big mess. I don't even know why they raised the prices. It was well expensive enough before. Problem with free is running you does not cost, and don't think you'll get public to agree to full substitutes on it. So somewhere costs will always be passed to the students, but an idea would, yeah, it should be free. I just feel like education is like something that taxpayers shouldn't mind putting money into, because it affects your children, your family's children, and all the future generations of the world. And do you really want the next generations that come after you to be absolutely hopeless? No. You want them to be great, right? If you're a decent person. So why not put money into that? Why not be happy to put your taxes into such a thing? The same with health and things like that, of course. They're both very important things. Yeah, free with higher entrance, which naturally would happen if it was free. If university was free, it would naturally create more competition because people wouldn't have to pay. So there'd be more people interested in going. University places will fill up faster because of it, and it's just all round better. The university won't have to just take anybody because they can't fill the places anymore. Well, it's like with normal school, they can't keep teaching the way they're doing because in the end they're doing it's like time when people didn't have the extent of all human knowledge accessible right there in their pockets. Yeah, things have to change with how the world is going. Are you going to be streaming for a while longer? Well, it's actually at the time that I stop soon, so in the next few minutes I'll probably be finishing up. But chats are going good, aren't they? Hi, cheers. We're mainly rambling on today. We've been having a lot of chats, but I'm kind of setting up the skill tree for Hunter at the moment, and we're sort of on target. We've thought of all the skills for Hunter today, which is what we wanted to do. We haven't exactly implemented them yet, but I like doing that kind of thing off stream a lot of the time because it can be a bit of a little confusing bit doing that. But we've got another stream this week. Tomorrow, last stream of the week. And we'll finish off doing all that stuff then. There are only 10 people on my degree in our sister course, which is software dev, is down to 3 people. See what I mean? There's nobody anymore. Because nobody, unless you're willing to pay the high fees, is going. So it's just common sense, in my opinion, to just make it free. Cheaper or free. It'll be so much better. And it's like, why don't they see it? They just want people to pay, don't they? Like you say. Blah. Things like green and shit with kids and your kids, but people still try to complain. We'd be bull, like windmills cause count. So yeah, I'll always be that sort of stuff. Like, honestly, like some of the British, like, sensationalist tabloids and that say such lies, like things like chocolate causes cancer, and then the next day it's tomatoes cause cancer, and then it's cheese causes cancer, and it's just like a new thing every day, and it's just ridiculous, even if some people buy into all that crap. Teach us how to do math. Oh no more math. No math. Yeah, you can't use a calculator because you're not always going to have one. Yes, we will always have calculators. Exactly, kindled. And honestly, I'm scared that the school curriculum these days just want to turn kids into robots, like math machines. It seems to be all that the folk care about is maths this, maths that, maths this. It's like, yeah, it's a useful subject. It's good, like, you know, to get a quick mind and be good at maths, I guess, but there is a lot of other things. What about history and subjects like that, and there's a lot of other useful subjects that people know nothing about, and they've gone like 2 decades of their life without knowing things that they really should know, and that's a bit worrying, just because it's all about maths. We don't want robots who know out numbers but know nothing else. Some older don't agree with paying taxes for uni fees, as they feel a lot of people just go to uni just to party. Yeah, I've got the perfect response for that, Podger. Okay, boom. I'm not one to join in with this meme culture thing, but honestly, that is a real okay boomer thing, because don't they care about the next generation growing up and having a very, very amazing society? They obviously don't, do they? They're selfish. That's what. So I've been lurking because of meetings. No worries, fine. No worries at all. Have a follow. Thank you for that follow, Fox. I appreciate it. I'm super behind on chat. My goodness gracious. you can't solve math with a calculator, it's not math. Now they just want to confuse our poor little brains. That's what they want to do. Try to make up for it next time. Don't worry, guys. Like, honestly, if you have to lurk, you have to lurk, and you don't feel pressured to be in the stream every day. Obviously, I love you talking and hanging out, but there's never any pressure here. Real math starts after calculus and differential geometry. My goodness, that goes way over my head. 2 + 2 is math. That's a fact. I feel like this was a productive session. Your goal was to get the 3 hunter skills and you got them. I call that a win. And we got some neat ideas to talk about off stream, like vampire, weapons and crafting. I'll call that a double win. And exactly, even if there's things that we haven't really finalised, we've always got the Discord to talk about ideas that might have casually got brought up in stream that we want to expand on. And we can always do things off stream. Like I say, like with this project, part of it is at stream, but I do a big bulk of it off stream too. So it's like my full-time job now in a way. While I'm not giving myself away to another company, I can do this full-time. That might have to change in the future, obviously. It's not sustainable for me to do this forever because I am not making enough for this to be a full-time job, obviously, right now. But right now I'm okay. I got savings and stuff and I'm living with my parents, but in the future I might have to make this more of a part-time thing if I do have to get a job. But let's not think about that yet, because that's not yet. But all I want you to know is, even if that happens and I have to do different things in life, I'm not going to just forget about this. This is something I'm very passionate about, and even if we have to go at a slightly slower pace, I'm not going to like give it up or anything. Definitely not. It's something that's very important to me to work on this project and create something. My whole life is a lie. You have gone for the look on purpose, or just a coincidence? Who's Paulie Perrotty? Who's that? I've probably said the name completely wrong. Who is that? How about we learn money management and taxes? Yeah, that's another thing as well, kindled. I think, do some countries do that? Is there a country in Europe that does that? We need to take more examples from some European countries, like Sweden. I don't know if Sweden's the one, but I think one of those countries kind of has it right. It's either Finland or Sweden, I believe, or Norway. I can't remember which one. But America and the UK, we need to sort things out because we're going bad. I like robots more than most people. Yeah, robots are cool, but not human robots, only cute robots. Feel the pressure. History class. I think history is a great class, but it needs to be done differently. The way of teach, because it's quite worrying that some people don't know certain things. Like, I honestly feel like some politicians in this day and age absolutely have no clue about certain things that they should know about, because maybe they wouldn't be making the stupid mistakes they make. So that, for an example, is why it's important. What would you do as a job if you have something to do with the games, the game industry? I would be happy to work for a game company if their vision matched up with mine, for sure. So I suppose that would be something for me. I can't see myself working with a corporate company ever, because that is not me. It's always going to be games. That's my heart. Whether it's working for myself or working for a company that matches with my vision. I believe they go into that deeper stuff if you do it in further education. Swinland. Yeah, I was saying them all wrong. I was merging them all. Playing Crusader Kings 2 taught me more history and geography than school. Oh my god, that's a good point as well, fellow. I had a friend that absolutely adored those games, and they look very fascinating and a lot more fun than school. Robots and AI replace a lot of service jobs in the next decade. That I agree as well with that, Cheese. Very possible. Playing Mario taught me more about plumbing than science class. 100% agree with you there. If you don't actually learn from history, learning dates won't do jack for you. Yeah. And it's not even about the blooming dates. Why is it about the morals behind the decisions some of the people made back then, and why they did it, and why they shouldn't have done it, and why it ended up the way it did? It should be more about that than bloody dates. I forget the dates of things. Is it okay to post a link and I'll show you? Oh, it's her. You're the second person that said that today. You're the second person that said that today. I'm like gonna literally cry because I've had so many people say that she looks just like me, and yeah, when I Google her, I don't think I look anything like her. It's literally just the hairstyle. But if I took my glasses, I don't look anything like her without my glasses on. Rosie's going to be working with EA next 2 months taking bets. I probably wouldn't work for EA games. I don't know whether, like, I kind of morally agree with some decisions, but I'm very strict. I have a very, like, strict moral compass. And if I was to work for someone, I'd want to make sure that I was, like, agreeing with that, and that I most of all enjoy the stuff that I do as well, and it's kind of something I share a passion with. Designing up the next Loot Crate game. It's the hairstyle and the choker. Yeah, it's probably the style. It's probably my style that's more like her than anything. It's crazy. It's crazy. Everyone says that. You don't look anything like it. It's like when people Michael Jackson. People says I look like Moaning Myrtle as well from Harry Potter. I mean, let's get a picture up of Moaning Myrtle, guys. Especially me with this hairstyle. Apparently, I'm literally Moaning Myrtle. Oh God, I don't see it. She looks like she's... How old is Moaning Myrtle? Because she looks like she's like a 40-year-old woman trying to be a 12-year-old girl. My goodness gracious. I know there are some schools or education programs that look to creating games for school learning. Yeah, you do. Guys, it's not a compliment. I'm not flattered. If you want to like do the opposite of give me a compliment, tell me I look like Moaning Myrtle. It's the bangs and the jaw. I have a very strong jawline, yeah, I do. Maybe only the hair there. She's in her 30s, really? Because I'm 30 and she looks like she's old enough to be my mother. I don't understand, like, is this woman my age? Is she the same age as me? Because I feel like I feel like I'm half her age. I'm sorry, guys. What's the name of the actress? I need to find this out. Is it? Yeah, I think I know who it is now. She's 53. She's 53. She's 23 years older than me, everyone. Oh my gosh. I'm changing my hairstyle now forever. I'm never in pigtails again. She's a secret brother. It's funny because she looks nothing like my mum. My gosh. So she was in her 30s at the time, but that was 10 or... Oh yeah, that makes sense because I suppose Harry Potter was ages ago. for sure. But she definitely looks like somebody who's trying to look like a teenage girl, but isn't. When I look at the pictures of Moaning Myrtle anyway. But no, I am not. I don't want to look like Moaning Myrtle. Tell me I look like Bayonetta. Tell me that and I'll be okay. Because I've had some people tell me that and I'm okay then. Late 30s. Who's late 30s? Who's late 30s? Honestly, I think it's less that you look like these people, it's that you look like how we remember them looking. So most of us will just remember one or two features, and then you look like, yeah, I was going to say, because it's saying I look like a 53-year-old woman. It's not. I'm like mortified, but obviously, yeah, she wasn't 53 once. But still, I don't really want to look like how she looked in Harry Potter either, actually. She looks very scary. And it's making me want to change my image completely, I'm not going to lie. There you go, the universe is revealing its secrets to you. You're actually adopted. I wouldn't have spotted the Moaning Myrtle thing if you hadn't said, yeah. It's only because that's what people have said. It's either Moaning Myrtle, that woman from that show that you mentioned, or Bayonetta. And I'm like, there's a bit of a difference between Moaning Myrtle and Bayonetta. I think there's like, you know, time for a makeover. You're perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Thank you, Rex. Honestly, when I get told I will look like someone, I want to be someone who's aesthetically pleasing is the word we use now, isn't it? Otherwise I'm gonna feel self-conscious. Right, chat, so it is end of stream now. Shall we drop us off at somebody else's stream? It suits you. I wouldn't even know what other style to have, if I'm honest. I just don't even know. I've gone the whole stream without having a snack. Thank you, Element, that follow, I appreciate it. You look very nice, Rose, don't change. You look for others, though, again, I'm gay, so not a good judge of females. No worries at all, it doesn't matter whether you're gay or straight or bi or anything. I think we can all admit if somebody is pleasing to the eye, even if we're not attracted to that gender. I have to agree with Callus and Fox, you're objectively pretty. Thank you. Don't worry, I wasn't fishing for compliments, chat. I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm just, let's admit it though, if somebody tells you you look like somebody who you perhaps wouldn't want to look like, you're going to be a bit, oh no. I can't think of anyone, but just imagine if someone said to you, you look like so and so, and you're like, well, thanks. Right, so let's think who to say hi to. I'm looking, and should we go to Elite again today? I don't really know who else to go to today. So we'll go and say hi to Elite, who was just here earlier, everybody. So if you're interested in game dev and RPG maker, which I know that some of you are, well, a lot of you are, then you will really like this stream. He's somebody who hangs out with us a lot. He was in here chatting earlier. So we will go and say hi to Elite. And I'm back tomorrow, everybody. Tomorrow's my last stream of the week. So if you want to hang out then, that would be awesome. And thanks for all the chats. It's been a wonderful stream, everyone. Rage and stream. That would be crazy. Imagine that. Bayonetta cosplaying stream tags. Oh, really? Imagine if I did that for jokes. Thank you for that follow as well, Gretch Star. I appreciate it. Yeah, take care, everyone. You're the best.